Hello and welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Explore our playlist for more captivating novels, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new audiobook. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 251. Zephyr and Garp arrive, both for Rosen. Shalulia Palace was originally a log town that Rosen came to. However, the CPO moved out of the Knights of God, and Shalulia Palace had no other options. But now I know that Hina turned out to be a sinner who failed to protect Charmako. Shalulia Palace's face immediately showed a cruel smile. That's right, in the heart of Shalulia Palace, Hina is a sinner. And he is a heinous sinner. All the bodyguards, including Saint Chalmok, are dead, but you, Hina, are still alive and well, and there is a companion who has become Rosen's accomplice. What is this if not a sinner? Of course, this is just the thought in Shalulia Palace's mind. Even Jabra was hesitant. Even so, he still nodded and reached out to push Hina to Luliyashi's side. Since it is an order from celestial dragons, no matter how unreasonable it is, you are not something he can stop. However, just because he doesn't stop it doesn't mean that others won't. What do you want to do to my disciples? At this moment, an extremely majestic voice sounded in the field. Everyone followed the sound and saw Zephyr jumping off a warship and walking towards this side. Behind him is Ain with a cold face. Teacher Zephyr. Hina blinked and looked at Hina in surprise, then looked at Ain behind Zephyr. Smoker was relieved when he saw Zephyr arriving. Unlike them, Zephyr has a very high prestige after Marine, and was previously a Marine Admiral. Smoker feels that the world government can ignore other Marines, but it will never ignore Zephyr's emotions. However, unlike Smoker and others, Dole, Peacock, Skylark and others are a little worried. After all, Rosen had revealed in his diary that Zephyr would be betrayed by Marine and world government in the future. Since the world government will betray Zephyr, the possibility of betraying Zephyr's face will be reduced. Former Marine Admiral, current Marine Instructor, and Marine Guerrilla Captain Zephyr, why are you here? The CPO member frowned and asked in confusion. Humph, if I don't come over again. Are you going to take away my disciples? Zephyr snorted coldly and looked at Hina. Hina, are you okay? I'm fine, but why are you here, Teacher Zephyr? Hina asked confused. There's such a big thing happening in East Blue. You're involved again. And I happen to be in the comm belt not far from East Blue, so I naturally wanted to come and have a look. Zephyr said and glanced at Ain. Of course, thanks to Ain for reminding me to come to East Blue. Otherwise, I might have missed this event. Dole, Peacock and others looked at Ain, with some complexity in their eyes. Ain's attitude towards Marine has become very shaken since she knew that the law would be betrayed by Marine and the world government. At this time, she brought Zephyr to East Blue, and it's hard to say why. It is possible that she wanted to meet Rosen and join Rosen's pirate group. At least, after what happened with Tashigi, neither Dole, nor Hina, nor anyone else would think that Marine would not become Rosen's partner. Tashigi obtained the powerful Arancardia template from Rosen, which may also have a great attraction for Ain. After all, if something happens to Zephyr in the future, Ain will most likely want to use the power he gained from Rosen to protect Zephyr. Hey, Marine, do you want to stop me? Shalulia Palace looked at Zephyr in front of her and said indifferently. Celestial dragons, you want to make my students your slaves, don't you? Zephyr turned his head and asked Shalulia Palace with a serious face. Humph, that's right. No, nothing is impossible. Whoever I want to be my slave must become my slave. According to the rules, celestial dragons have no right to make Marine a slave. Zephyr shook his head and looked at the CPO members. Does the world government want to break this rule? Marine is a subordinate organization of the world government and also has the obligation to protect the celestial dragons. However, Marine also has its own authority. Celestial dragons can make an ordinary person their slave at will. But he couldn't let Marine become his slave. If that were the case, who would be Marine? Therefore, 5 elders will set this rule. At this moment, Zephyr mentioned that CP0 would naturally not say that he would make Hina, a Marine, a slave of Shalulia Palace. Only. The rules set by the 5 elders cannot be broken. However, the premise is that this Yasuda Rin Marine. Now, there are serious suspicions surrounding her. Celestial Dragon's Lord Charmok died, but she was intact. And her partner Tashigi became a member of Rosen. I think we have every reason to investigate and hold him accountable. If there are really signs that she is colluding with Rosen and the Flame Blade Pirates, then she will no longer be a Marine. Of course, I can become the slave of Lord Shalulia Palace. The CPO member said, turned to look at Shalulia Palace and continued. So, Sir Shalulia Palace, please wait for a moment. Perhaps, after her trial is over, you can do whatever you want to her. Hearing this, Zephyr, Smoker and others looked quite ugly. If Shalulia Palace really insists on making Hina her slave, then Hina will definitely not be innocent. Even if Hina is not guilty, they will use this opportunity to make Hina's trial result become guilty. HMPH, why should I wait? Saint Charmaine is dead, but she is still alive. Doesn't this prove her guilt? That's it, do you still need to interrogate? Shalulia Palace said with a cold snort. Obviously, she plans to make Hina her slave now. At this moment, the sound of the sun breaking through the sky came quickly. The two CPO members looked condensed and looked up at the sky. The next moment, before the two of them had time to react, they found an extremely tall figure standing next to them. Marine hero, Garp. A CPO member saw the face of the visitor clearly, and his expression immediately became extremely serious. A Zephyr, while troublesome, can't be multi-processed. But Garp is too special, and his strength makes the five elders particularly fond of him, so they also have great tolerance for Garp's behavior. If it was just a Zephyr, they could handle it tactfully and quietly send Hina to the hands of Shalulia Palace. But with the addition of a Garp, they have no choice. Not only the CPO members looked serious, but Shalulia Palace also looked ugly. Marine hero Garp. Shalulia Palace clenched her fists and stared at Garp. Are you, celestial dragons? By the way, what happened here? Garp scratched his white hair and looked around at the situation with a puzzled expression. When he saw Hina wearing handcuffs, his expression immediately froze. Asshole, is this the way you treat me? When Shalulia Palace saw that Garp just glanced at her and paid no attention to him, she suddenly said angrily. Okay, I don't have time to pay attention to you now. Stay aside. Garp waved his hand towards Shalulia Palace and said casually. You bastard. Shalulia Palace stamped her feet and yelled at Garp fiercely. However, even so, she only used words to humiliate Garp and did not actually take any action. It's no wonder that once upon a time, Garp showed great disrespect for the celestial dragons in the holy land of Mariajoy. But even so, the five elders showed a tolerant attitude towards this. If the five elders are like this, how can Shalulia Palace do anything to Garp? Smoker, Ain and others opened their eyes wide and looked at what they saw in front of them in disbelief. They never expected that Garp would have such an attitude towards celestial dragons. And it seems that there is nothing that Jinrulia Palace can do against him. Garp, why are you here? Zephyr asked confused. Not that Rosen yet. Originally, I planned to intercept that guy in Logue Town. It seems now that the 3.1 gang has escaped. Really, it made me swim and run in the sea for such a long time. Garp shook his head and spoke. At this time, he had already learned about what happened in Logue Town from Sengoku through the phone bug. Naturally, Sengoku also had to complain for a while. So, what's going on here? Why is Hina like that? Speaking of Hina, Garp's brows immediately frowned. This is what happened. The CPO members were worried that Garp would do something radical, so they quickly told everything about Hina. He originally wanted to omit the matter of Shalulia Palace making Hina a slave. However, Smoker, Peacock and others quickly told the story about the slaves. So, that's the plan to make Hina a slave directly. Garp frowned and looked towards Shalulia Palace. What do you want to do, Garp? Shalulia Palace also frowned and looked at Garp not to be outdone. It's nothing, I just think you shouldn't let T become a slave. This is against the rules. Garp said flatly. Chapter 252 Celestial Dragon's Tough Attitude, said Hina. But just such plain words left Shalulia Palace speechless. Like the members of CPO, if it were just a Zephyr, she might be able to force Hina to become her slave. But if a Garp is added, Shalulia Palace feels that even if this matter is reported to the five elders will not support it. On the contrary, if Hina is really convicted later, she may still get Hina. Thinking of this, Shalulia Palace snorted coldly, looked at the CPO members, and then at Hina, who looked a little pale. Then he turned around and walked towards his warship. Faced with the rules of five elders and the prestige of Garp, she finally chose to compromise. But this also made her feel more and more unhappy. Oh 6, that's it. Then I am waiting for her conviction. After the conviction, remember to hand her over to me. Shalulia Palace said. Yes, Lord Shalulia Palace. The CPO members breathed a sigh of relief when they heard this. He didn't want to get into trouble with Garp. After bowing respectfully behind Shalulia Palace, the CPO members then turned to Zephyr, Garp and others. Zephyr Instructor, Vice Admiral Garp, what do you think of this outcome? Let's take Hina back to ask some things. It concerns the celestial dragons, and I think we have the authority to interrogate her. Hearing this, both Garp and Zephyr fell silent. Both of them understood that the CP organization was fully committed to accountability in this matter. In desperation, FA could only say with a gloomy old face. I will always pay attention to this matter. CP0 nodded. Of course, as the former admiral, current instructor, and also her teacher, you can naturally pay attention. However, if she is guilty, she won't let it go just because you are paying attention to this matter. No matter how you say it, it's a bit unclear that she was able to survive under Rosen's hands, isn't it? Layer. Zephyr's expression darkened. He didn't know what CP0 said was true. To be honest, even he couldn't figure out why Hina was able to escape from Rosen's hands unharmed. I'm afraid, except for the holders who hold copies of the diary themselves. No one else will know the reason for this. As long as Rosen can be caught, I think this matter will make sense and prove Hina's innocence, right? Garp spoke. This is a very good idea. As long as we can catch Rosen and have him confront Hina. I think all misunderstandings can be resolved. But the premise is, Vice Admiral Garp, you can really catch Rosen's group tour. Counting the time, Rosen has been away from Logue Town for a while. The sea is so big, even if you go out to sea next, it will be difficult to find him. CP0 smiled and said. You don't have to worry about it. I just want to know that after I capture Rosen, you can release Tina intact. Garp waved his hand and said. In that case, I wish you good luck in martial arts, Vice Admiral Garp. CP0 smiled and turned around to go to the ship at Shalulia Palace. Boy, don't do unnecessary things to Hina. Otherwise, I will definitely give you a good education, you know. Garp turned around, looked at Jabra and the others who were escorting Hina and said. Invisibly, an aura unique to the strong man standing at the top of the pyramid pressed down on 383 Jabra and others. This aura made Jabra and the others, who had always been strong, nod unconsciously. Hina, please bear with me for a while. I will never let anything happen to you. Zephyr patted Hina on the shoulder and said seriously. Hina, if anything happens, you must contact us. You know how to contact us. Peacock stood in front of Hina and said with a complicated expression. The same is true for Dole and Skylark. They never imagined that a mission to intercept Rosen would lead to Tashigi quitting Marine and Hina also facing interrogation. In fact, even though the three of them took such a long time to come to East Blue, they didn't even have time to have a conversation with Rosen before they were knocked to the ground by Rosen's conqueror's hockey. Chapter 253 Contact from Khalifa, CP9 Agents Doubts. The three of them looked at Hina in front of them, feeling sad for no reason in their hearts. After all, they knew Hina was innocent and why Rosen let Hina go. It's not that Hina is one of Rosen's heroines, and Rosen doesn't want to kill the heroine. Dole and others even felt that Rosen was playing a long game to catch the big fish, waiting for the day when Hina quit Marine. After all, Hina was under the influence of the command spell and said that she wanted to become Rosen's sex toy. Based on their understanding of Rosen, once Hina quits Marine and there are no concerns about her position, Rosen will really make Hina her woman. Jabra and others from CP9, after being glared at by Garp, turned around and returned to their ship without hesitation. Just kidding, that's Marine hero Garp. Even CP0 needs to give Garp face. And even for celestial dragons, Garp can't give face, let alone these little CP9 agents. You know, they are the ones who have to escort Hina. Jabra even felt that if he and his friends continued to stay here, maybe Garp would really take action. Wait a moment. Suddenly, Garp shouted to Jabra and others. Jabra's body stagnated and he turned around with an ugly expression. Because I was Vice Admiral. 11. Excuse me, what's the matter? Jabra showed an ugly smile and said. Don't do unnecessary things to Hina. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. Tisk, if you don't want to continue arresting Roger. I will go to Annie's lobby with you. Garp crossed his arms and spoke. I know. We must treat her well. Nushichi, please take off that lady's handcuffs. Jabra said and quickly glanced at his partner behind him. Natsutori nodded. He also knew about Garp's troubles and naturally would not refute Jabra's decision. Soon, he took out his handcuffs and unlocked Hina's handcuffs. Hina rubbed her arms and glanced at Garp gratefully. Then, he took the initiative to board the warship of the CP9 agents. As a member of Marine, she doesn't want to cause trouble to Garp, Zephyr, Dole and others. Even if they were willing to help, she wanted to follow the process. Although, even she is vaguely worried about her future. After all, she had learned a lot about the dark side of world government through copies of Rosen's diary. Thanks. Hina stood on the edge of the boat and said silently to Zephyr, Ain and others. Behind her, Jabra and others originally planned to force Hina into the cell in the cabin. But now, under Garp's nose, he can only acquiesce to Hina's actions. At this time, he couldn't help but recall what Karina said when she went on this mission, asking her to be careful not to hurt Hina. It's strange, how could Khalifa know that I would encounter resistance from Hina? Wait a minute, how did she know this Hina? Have they met before? Jabra scratched the back of his head and thought doubtfully. However, even if Jabra scratched his head, he would not have thought that Khalifa knew Hina through a copy of the diary. Ain looked at Hina standing on the edge of the boat, a bright light flashed in his eyes. Unnoticed, she opened a copy of her diary and found Hina's name in the friends column. Soon, a private message appeared on a copy of Hina's diary. Ain, Hina, do you regret not following Rosen away? Close black lens bracket. Hina frowned and looked back at Ain. Open black lens bracket Hina, regret. Why do you say that? Close black lens bracket. Ain, you are my senior and became a Marine earlier than me. You should know what it means to go to Annie's lobby. Close black lens bracket. Hina, Annie's lobby may directly convict ordinary people, but first a Marine, and I think as long as this matter is explained clearly, there will be room for maneuver. Moreover, if Vice Admiral Garp can really intercept Rosen, I think it's not too late. Close black lens bracket. Ain, did you explain it clearly? There is no way for you to tell others, Jiao District, about the copy of the diary. Could it be that because Rosen likes beautiful women, he let you go? But, that doesn't make sense. In their opinion, if Rosen likes beautiful women, he should force you to stay. In addition, although Vice Admiral Garp is powerful, what is the probability that he can intercept Rosen? Not to mention whether he can find Rosen on the vast sea. Even if he does, with Rosen's current strength, can Vice Admiral Garp really keep him? Rosen can use a variety of abilities by combining with his partners. I think that even if Vice Admiral Garp is stronger than Rosen, there is no way he can keep him if Rosen insists on escaping. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 254 Zephyr's determination must catch up with Rosen. Open black lens bracket Hina. Ain, what exactly do you want to say? Close black lens bracket. Ain, it's nothing, it's just that as a junior, I don't want to see Mr. Zephyr sad because of you. So, I want to give you a little reminder that if you notice something is wrong, you might be able to follow Tashigi's lead. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Hina. Close black lens bracket. Hina lowered her head and took a deep look at Ain, who was standing under the edge of the boat. For a moment, she was speechless when faced with Ain's reminder. She understood that what Ain said was right. Rosen is strong enough now. And as time goes by, Rosen will become stronger and stronger. It can be said that the further behind Garp is, the less likely it is that Garp will stop Rosen. If all hope is placed on Garp 217, maybe she will really be found guilty by the world government, but it is not certain. Until Jabra reminded her to go to the cabin, she was unable to continue talking to Ain using the copy of the diary. Does it mean that if I don't want to be convicted, I really have the only way to leave Marine? Hina frowned slightly, shook her head, and turned to look at Ain. She actually persuaded me to follow Tashigi. Single quote. Sure enough, she has no feelings for Marine anymore. Hina pursed her lips and said with complicated emotions. I really didn't expect to meet you here, Zephyr. But since you are here, use your pirate guerrilla intelligence to help me find traces of that boy Rosen. That boy put Hina in such an embarrassing, Agba situation. No matter what, I have to find him and teach him a lesson. Garp looked at Zephyr and said seriously. You don't have to tell me, I'll do it, Garp. Hina is also my student. Also, Rosen does crazy things like that. Marine has to catch him too. Zephyr nodded and spoke. In fact, before coming to Logue Town, he had already arranged for the pirate guerrillas in East Blue to search for Rosen's location. However, we have not received the corresponding news yet. We also helped find Vice Admiral Garp. Peacock stepped forward and said in a serious tone. Dole and Skylark both nodded. No need, you should follow the CP9 agent who is escorting Hina. I'm worried that those world government guys will do something bad if no one is watching. By the way, you can also go and meet the Crane. When you come out this time, Crane is very worried about you, Peacock. Garp shook his head and said. When the Peacock heard this, he couldn't help but lower his head. But soon, she nodded. Okay, I'll keep up with those world government people. After all, I still can't let go of Hina. Although Jabra promised Garp not to do anything to Hina. But there is no guarantee that the situation will change after we are far away. Someone keeping up with Hina will indeed make Hina's situation better. Now that Rosen has recognized her identity, her role in Rosen's affairs is very small. On the contrary, her identity as He's granddaughter may make people in CP9 fearful. Thinking of this, Peacock immediately said hello to everyone, and then planned to leave on his own marine warship. Why don't you go back together, Dole? Garp asked Dole in confusion. No, Peacock should be able to watch Hina by himself. Here, it's always good to have someone looking for Rosen. Dole shook his head and said. Besides, Vice Admiral Garp, your warships are still far away. In order not to delay your search for Rosen, you can ride on my warship. Dole said. Fair enough. It takes a lot of time to swim and use moonwalk. Since that guy Rosen can defeat Mahawk, his strength should have reached a pretty good level. If I encounter him in his current state, I might not be able to take him down. Garp nodded and agreed to Dole's proposal. Then, without further ado, let's set off now. Although Rosen has been away for a while, at the speed of a marine warship. Maybe we can catch up with them. Ain, let's go. After Zephyr finished speaking, he turned and walked towards his warship. Chapter 255 Rosen must be caught, Gion's decision. Yes, Teacher Zephyr. After Ain answered, he nodded to Dole and Skylark, and quickly followed Zephyr's footsteps. Then let's set off too. Garp said something to Dole and planned to leave Logue Town. Wait, Vice Admiral Garp, I'm going with you too. I have to find that Rosen and capture Waski. Smoker said. Mention Tashigi. Smoker's hands clenched unconsciously. Apparently, Rosen took Tashigi away, leaving a deep shadow on him. When Dole and Yunk heard this, their expressions couldn't help but froze. The two of them knew it. Tashigi had personally stabbed celestial dragons with the sharp blade in his hand. Even if Marine does capture Tashigi, there is no way she can turn back. No, you must stay in Logue Town now. Before Garp had time to speak, Zephyr, who had not gone far, reminded him. Why? Smoker frowned. Something big like celestial dragons just happened in Logue Town. If you leave suddenly right now, it's going to be chaos here. Zephyr reminded. Hearing this, Smoker couldn't help but fell silent. Yes, not long ago, Rosen hung the corpses of celestial dragons on Roger's execution platform. Furthermore, he burned the corpses of celestial dragons in front of everyone. I'm afraid that at this time, the pirates lurking in Logue Town are all in a very excited state. If at this time, he chooses to leave, I'm afraid those pirates will immediately rise up and plunder Logue Town. Thinking of this, Smoker felt a little embarrassed. We will deal with Tashigi's matter together. Now, you'd better do your best now, Smoker. Garp patted Smoker on the shoulder, then turned and walked towards Dole's warship. Soon, Zephyr and Garp both disappeared in front of Smoker's eyes. Smoker gritted his teeth, finally turned around and walked towards the square of Logue Town. There are still many problems waiting for him to deal with. Sadi-chan, no, Hina, were you really taken away by world government agents? Close black lens bracket. Hina, although I want to deny it, in fact I was taken away. Close black lens bracket. Domino, how could this be? Those world government agents are all unreasonable people. If you are taken away, it will be difficult to leave. Close black lens bracket. Ain, there is nothing we can do about this. Although we all know Rosen's reason for letting Hina go, the people in world government don't know. It's hard to explain this clearly. Close black lens bracket. Skylark, is there no other way? Close black lens bracket. Hina, don't worry too much, I think Vice Admiral Garp and Teacher Zephyr will find a way. I will also try to explain it to the interrogators. Close black lens bracket. Domino, just be afraid, they don't know how to judge at all. Close black lens bracket. Gion, I will contact Sister He to help handle this matter. I think world government will also give Sister He some face. In addition, the method proposed by Vice Admiral Garp is feasible. As long as Rosen is caught, Hina's matter can be solved. Close black lens bracket. 0, please give me flowers. Sadi-chan, it's not easy to catch Rosen. Gion Vice Admiral, you have been chasing Rosen for so long, haven't you also failed to find him? Close black lens bracket. Gion, this time is different. Both Marine and world government have invested a lot of manpower and material resources to find Rosen. Although the sea is huge, it is not transparent. As long as we are given a certain amount of time, we can definitely find it. Close black lens bracket. Sadi-chan, hopefully, if we can't find him now, when Rosen goes to the new world, there will really be nothing we can do against him. That place is the territory of pirates. Close black lens bracket. 0. Domino, Rosen has just obtained the highest level Conqueror's Haki. If he is given enough time, he may be able to master Conqueror's Haki. Even Lieutenant General Garp will not be his opponent by then. Close black lens bracket. Skylark, really? What should I do? Close black lens bracket. Gion, Vice Admiral Garp will not be that weak. Have you forgotten what Rosen once mentioned about the future of Vice Admiral Garp? He can beat up Marine Admiral 1. Although it means to belittle Marine Admiral. But in order for everyone in the Marine chat group to have confidence, Gion had no other choice. Gion, in short, everyone in East Blue, please try your best to find Rosen. If you find him, it's best not to alert the enemy. We must accumulate enough strength to catch Rosen at once. Close black lens bracket. After Gion left his message, he looked up at the sky and involuntarily clenched the handle of the knife with his right arm. Rosen, just wait, I will definitely catch you. Gion murmured, with a firm light in his eyes. Chapter 256 Robin, it won't work if I don't dedicate myself. A few days later. Senya number. Practice room. Photo. The training to commemorate Tashigi has come to an end for the time being. I really didn't expect that Tashigi's talent in practicing water breathing would be so high. Closing square bracket. In such a short time, she actually mastered the entire set of water breathing sword skills. Closing square bracket. And he also integrated it into his own swordsmanship. Closing square bracket. If that's all it is, forget it. Closing square bracket. But while she mastered the full set of water breathing sword technique, she also mastered transparency to the world. 597. Closing square bracket. This is too exaggerated. Closing square bracket. If she was given some time, would she also have mastered the Madara tattoo? Forget it, it's better not to get Madara tattoos or anything like that. Closing square bracket. Unless you master the congenital Madara pattern, you won't live long. Closing square bracket. There is no need to exchange lifespan for strength, Tia's template is enough. Tashigi has become powerful enough. Closing square bracket. Speaking of which, the talent brought by Tia's template is indeed powerful. Closing square bracket. For Tashigi to become stronger so quickly, the role of Tia's template is probably indispensable. Closing square bracket. Now think about it, Tashigi, who can master the water-breathing swordsmanship so quickly, may be more suitable to get Aaron Cartia's template than Charlotte Smoothie, Rebecca, White Bay and others. Closing square bracket. Charlotte Smoothie. No, you're wrong, Rosen. The reason Tashigi became so strong is because you took a lot of photos of her during this time. Rebecca. Through these photos, this Tashigi has gained a lot of points. With so many points, no matter what he is studying, he can quickly master it. Waidabe. Having said that, is it too strange for Rosen to take so many photos of Tashigi these days? Even if Tashigi's practice is worth recording with photos and videos, is this frequency too high? Gion. Could it be that Tashigi, like that Yuta, has become Rosen's woman? That's why he records Tashigi's life so frequently. Gion looked very ugly when he thought of this possibility. Tashigi was originally a member of Marine. As a result, now, he has become more than just Rosen's partner. Or the woman who might have become Rosen. This made Gion quite uncomfortable. Although Tashigi's departure was excusable, it still made Gion feel a feeling of betrayal. Not only Gion, but others in Marine also feel quite complicated about Tashigi's situation. Ain, on the other hand, looked at the photos of Tashigi's training that Rosen had uploaded before, with a look of envy in her eyes. Tashigi is getting more and more skilled. Even without any covering. But he can also learn to use the sword so calmly. It's precisely because she has always been like this. That's why Rosen took so many photos and videos of her. When I become Rosen's partner, should I do the same thing as Tashigi? Ain's face immediately turned red when he thought of this. However, although he was shy, Ain immediately became determined after thinking about the future that Zephyr would face. Ain, Tashigi, I should have already done it with Rosen. It was really fast. I don't know what it feels like. Dole, is it for power? Or is it for some other reason that's why Tashigi has reached this level? Bakura, this Tashigi's complexion is getting better and better recently. It must be nourished by Rosen. Monet, that's right, otherwise there is no way to explain why Rosen spent so much time on her. Bello Betty, during this period, Rosen's photography of Tashigi has surpassed Nami, Karina 3.2 and others. The only one who has not surpassed him is Yuta. Why? Stussy, although Rosen did not film him and Tashigi getting along intimately, as an ex, Marine was able to be taken care of by Rosen to this extent. It should be that sex increased her recognition in Rosen's heart. Nico Robin, if the act of surname can improve a woman's status in Rosen's heart, it seems that without dedication, there is no way for Rosen to help me obtain the historical text. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 257 Tashigi, you have to relax after training. Zala, you can gain power just by giving your body to him. It's really convenient. However, it shouldn't be that easy to be allowed to board the ship by Rosen. Michita, in the final analysis, we may not be able to meet that guy on the sea. I always feel that with that guy's strength, he can reach the Grand Line even without climbing the upside-down mountain. Maybe he can just take calm. It's not certain that the belt will enter the second half of the Grand Line. Vivi, Queen Lily, Alabasta's ancestor, please bless me to meet Rosen, please. Only in this way, maybe I can save my father's life and Alabasta. In fact, what many holders of diary copies thought was correct. Ever since Rosen and Tashigi confirmed their relationship, Rosen's subconscious desire to take photos and record Tashigi has indeed improved a lot. 06. Although he did not show the scene of the two becoming one in bed, he also improved his recording of Tashigi in life and training. This resulted in Tashigi accumulating a large number of points in just a few days. The points can help Tashigi enter the super learning time. During this period of time, whether you are practicing or learning theoretical knowledge, you can get twice the result with half the effort. Naturally, Yin Xian quickly mastered the breathing of water and the ability to see through the world. Of course, in addition, Tashigi is becoming more and more skilled in using Tia templates. At least Tashigi has been able to enter Tia mode and maintain it for a long time without engaging in fierce battles. Come here first, Tashigi. Now that I have successfully mastered the breathing of water and the transparency of the world, I think you can take a break for a while. I know you want to become stronger, but you have to balance work and rest. After that, you can practice according to the memory brought to you by Tia's template. Just in time, we will arrive at Upside Down Mountain soon. Before that, I think we can take a good rest. Rosen crossed his arms and said to Dasichi, who was getting familiar with the swordsmanship in front of him. After Tashigi heard Rosen's words and swung the last knife, he stopped. She turned her head and looked at Rosen with a face as calm as water. At this moment, Tashigi still maintains the state of using the transparent world. This is why her expression is like calm water. Having said that, when Tashigi looked at Rosen, his expression was blank. Then, her face became slightly flushed. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell, Tashigi? Rosen looked at Tashigi's expression and asked with some confusion. No, there's nothing uncomfortable about it. Tashigi shook his head quickly. Having said that, Tashigi's eyes were looking at Rosen's pants intentionally or unintentionally. Rosen followed Tashigi's gaze and immediately understood why she had such an expression. I see, it's because I used the transparent world to see through my pants, right? After all, we can be considered an old married couple. There's no need to be so shy, Insichi. Rosen smiled, walked up to Tashigi, stretched out his hand and touched her heart. As soon as Tashigi was touched by Rosen, he could no longer maintain his calm state of mind. Suddenly, her face turned even redder. You're so cute, Tashigi. Rosen smiled and put his arm around Tashigi's shoulders, putting his head close to her ear. Speaking of which, I helped you master the breathing of water and the transparency of the world. Isn't it time for you to thank me properly, Tashigi? Hearing this, Tashigi lowered his head. Luo, Rosen, do you want to do that kind of thing? Rosen raised the corner of his mouth and said with a smile. What do you think? After practicing hard, don't you want to relax and unwind? Or are you so tired that you don't even have the energy to do that kind of thing? It doesn't matter. In the worst case, you can just lie down. I'll be in charge of the sports. As he said that, Rosen gave Tashigi a thumbs-up gesture, as if he had left everything to me. Rosen, please don't tease me. Tashigi pursed his lips, his voice almost inaudible. Even so, she still nodded. Seeing this, Rosen didn't hesitate at all. Without waiting for Tashigi to put on a pair, he directly hugged her, took her clothes and returned to her room. Chapter 258 Where did you learn the special knowledge, Tashigi? On the way, Tashigi was extremely nervous, fearing that he would meet Nami, Nokigao and others along the way. Fortunately, Nami and others did not appear in front of her until she returned to the room. Rosen, just lie down and let me do it this time. Tashigi put his hand on Rosen's shoulder and spoke to Rosen gently with a blushing face. Oh, it's so rare, Tashigi. I didn't expect you to be so proactive this time. Could it be that you fell in love with that feeling? Rosen raised the corner of his mouth and said with a chuckle. I just want to thank you. You not only gave me control of Tia's powerful power. It also helped me master the exquisite swordsmanship. So, I want to thank you. Tashigi whispered. She knew that Rosen also had a certain interest in women. At least, that's the case in those works. Therefore, Ins now wants to satisfy Lo this time. Want to thank me? That would be great. In that case, let's do something special. Rosen said as he lay down as Tashigi said. Special. Tashigi looked confused. But soon, she thought of some plots related to her own works. Difficult, did Rosen mean to use your mouth? Are you still planning to use electricity? In an instant, Tashigi's face turned as red as an apple. What's the matter, Insichi? Any questions? Rosen couldn't help but feel a little strange when he saw Tashigi's face and even the skin on his body suddenly turned red. No, it's nothing, Captain Rosen. Wait a minute, I need to make some mental preparations. Tashigi raised his right hand to his heart and took several deep breaths, hoping to calm himself down in this way. Although what Rosen mentioned is somewhat more than what Tashigi is thinking of now. But since she wanted to thank Rosen, she finally agreed in her heart. After making a mental decision, Tashigi stepped towards Rosen, his red mouth slightly opened, and kept approaching Rosen. You really need to be prepared. After all, the previous training has consumed a lot of your physical energy. It's okay, take your time, don't be too anxious. When your physical strength recovers, you can enter Tia's mode. Just when you enter Tia mode, your skin will turn into a healthy wheat color. And it will have Arankar's characteristics. To be honest, I kind of want to communicate more with you, who has wheat-colored skin. Also, I am also very curious about what it would be like to have close contact with Arankar. Rosen said with a smile. Hearing this, Tashigi, who was already sitting next to Rosen, was stunned for a moment. He looked at Rosen with his hands behind his head and his eyes closed as if he was resting in disbelief. It was precisely because Rosen had his eyes closed that he didn't see that Tashigi's mouth was very close to his weak point. Did I understand wrongly? Isn't this what Rosen wants? Tashigi stared at Rosen in front of him with wide eyes. As long as she takes a step further, she will be close. However, after hearing what Rosen said, Tashigi couldn't help but hesitate. After all, what she originally planned to do was quite shameful. At least in Tashigi's opinion, it was quite shameful. As a result, now, Rosen said that he just wanted her to become Arankardia and get close to him, which made Tashigi talk about what he saw in front of him. Just when Tashigi hesitated, Rosen's slightly surprised voice came over. Tashigi, what are you doing? Quote ? Tashigi raised his head slightly and looked at Rosen in surprise. Only then did she realize that Rosen had opened her eyes while she was taking the exam. Her body trembled, and when Rosen saw her like this, she felt her body stiff and unable to move. It was as if the stop button had been pressed on her. I see, this is what you meant by thanks, Tashigi. I didn't expect you to be able to do this. It seems that even someone as pure as you would be able to clear up some books on this subject. Tell me, where did you learn about this? Rosen said with a smile. I don't know it from your work yet. Tashigi looked at Rosen with resentful eyes. Chapter 259 Yuta. Captain, Tashigi, did I disturb you? Okay, I just won't ask. Don't look at me like that. Also, thank you for being willing to do something like this for me, Tashigi. Rosen looked at Tashigi with great tenderness, and even Tashigi could see the hope in his eyes. What, if this happens, I won't be able to retreat. Single quote. Tashigi sighed deeply in his heart, but after all, he was still unable to retreat. Some time passed. Tashigi leaned weakly in Rosen's arms. There is still tenderness in his eyes that has not yet melted away. Thank you for your hard work, Yanxi. Can you still adapt to using Tia's power at this time? Rosen patted Tashigi on the back and asked, looking at Tashigi who had wheat-colored skin in front of him because he entered Tia mode. Well, maybe it's what you said, Captain Rosen. 190 inches because it's not a real battle, so when you do that kind of thing, it doesn't seem to make me use up more physical energy. Tashigi leaned on Rosen's chest and whispered. I see, that's really great. That way, when we get close in the future, I won't have to worry about you not being able to maintain Tia's pattern for too long. Rosen said to Tashigi slightly excitedly. No wonder. After all, this is not just a matter involving Tashigi alone. Since Tashigi can do it, it means that Yuta can also do it. Even when he, Nami and others get together, they will be able to do it. This is equivalent to one person having two feelings. Thinking of this, Rosen naturally felt quite excited. Of course, Rosen isn't the only one excited. The same goes for Tashigi. But unlike Rosen's excitement, her excitement was passive. She blushed, and her belly, which was tightly pressed against Rosen's body, unconsciously lifted up, and she said in an extremely shy voice. Luo, Rosen, you are too strong. It's obviously just over. Upon hearing this, Rosen was slightly stunned. But soon, he reacted. Because he was too excited, his originally silent weapon was ready again. Tashigi was originally pressed against his body, so it was normal for him to be forced to hunch up at this moment. Haha, Tashigi, since you still have physical strength. Why don't we continue? Rosen put his hands around Tashigi's smooth back, hugged her and sat up with one force. But, we have been delayed for too long just now. If this continues, everyone will know. Tashigi said with a blush. If possible, she still doesn't want the situation between herself and Rosen to be known to the people of the Flame Blade Pirates except Yuta and Kaya. After all, she is a latecomer. As a latecomer, I got Rosen first. Tashigi can imagine how Nami, Karina and others would react if they found out. Let's wait until we find out about that kind of thing. Now, Before Rosen could finish speaking, there was a sudden knock on the door. Tashigi took advantage of Rosen's time to look at the door and quickly got up and left the bed. When Rosen turned to look at Tashigi, he found that she had used the power of water breathing to control water to clean up all the traces on her body. Even when Rosen lamented Tashigi's speed, Tashigi had already put on the white clothes. Seeing Rosen looking over, Tashigi said weakly. Captain Rosen, do you want me to help you clean yourself? As she spoke, she also deliberately lifted the stream of water wrapped around her hand. Thanks, but no need. Although Tashigi only intends to use water flow. But Rosen was worried that when her water flow cleansed his body, it would cause irritation to him. Now that Tashigi was dressed, Rosen thought it best not to get too excited. Rosen shook his head and saw blazing flames igniting on his body. In just a moment, all traces of his exchange with Tashigi were burned away. After he got dressed with Tashigi's help, he opened the door. Okay, I hope I didn't disturb you. Yuta stretched out her hand, knocked on Rosen's chest, and looked at the blushing insect with a funny look on her face. Tashigi, you've been enjoying things like that more and more lately. Hearing this, Tashigi lowered his head. Chapter 260 What? Nami also wants to be trained. Okay, stop teasing Tashigi. You know she's shy, Yuta. What's the matter with you coming here now? Rosen asked. If it were Nami, Karina and others, maybe there wouldn't be anything important. But if Yuta comes to disturb him at this time, but does not intend to join the communication between him and Tashigi, it means that the team has encountered something. There is indeed something going on. Rosen, Tashigi. Nami and Karina said that we are about to arrive at the waters of the Upside-Down Mountain. So, they asked me to inform you two to witness this moment together. Speaking of Upside-Down Mountain, Yuta's eyes showed excitement. It's no wonder, considering Yuta hasn't been to the Grand Line for a long time. Now that she was about to set foot on that magical sea area again, she was naturally very happy. Of course, another reason for her happiness is that as long as she enters the Grand Line, she will be closer to meeting the Red Hair and the other Red Hair pirates. However, thinking of the red-haired Shanks and others, Yuta couldn't help but raise her hand and touch her belly. I don't know if I'll have time to have Rosen and my children before I meet Shanks and the others. If I could get pregnant quickly and give birth to a baby quickly. Single quote. Shanks will be surprised to be a grandfather. Sure enough, I need to do things with Rosen more frequently from now on. And we have to do things with Captain Rosen in reality, not in Yuta space. Quote. Yuta thought. I see, we have arrived at Upside Down Mountain. That's right, it's almost time. Rosen touched his chin and said. Counting the time, a lot of time has passed since he guided and communicated with Tashigi. Now we have arrived at Upside Down Mountain, which is indeed the past. Let's go, you two. Let's go and witness together. Rosen said something to Tashigi, then put his hand around Yuta's shoulder and led the way towards the deck. Upon seeing this, Tashigi quickly followed behind. The three of them were very fast and arrived on the deck before long. How slow, Captain Rosen. By the way, does your training with Tashigi need to take so long? As soon as the three of them appeared on the deck, Nami put her hands on her hips and said to Rosen and Tashigi with a look of complaint. Having said that, Nami is more envious. After all, this is a rare opportunity to be alone with Rosen. If it had been her, Nami felt that she would have defeated Rosen long ago. However, Karina would not give her a chance to be alone with Rosen. Thinking of this, Nami glared at Karina who was standing aside. Zero, please give me flowers. In response, Karina just shrugged and paid no attention to Nami. Tashigi is a swordsman. And Captain Rosen is also a swordsman. That's why the communication between the two of them is so deep. The corners of Nuo Chigao's mouth raised, and she emphasized the word, deep, in particular. Tashigi was shocked, thinking that Nuo actually knew about her relationship with Rosen. What she didn't know was that Nuo Chigao was just testing her. Zero. Seeing her reaction at this moment, the corners of Nokigao's mouth couldn't help but rise. If you want to talk about swordsman, I can be considered a swordsman. Since you want to communicate, wouldn't it be nice to communicate with me? Nami complained. You are indeed a swordsman after receiving the Thunder and Lightning General template. But it's not like you don't know General Raiden's swordsmanship. With her power, you don't need me to guide you in swordsmanship. Rosen shook his head and said. Although Tashigi mastered the breath of water, Rosen thought that Nami could also master the breath of thunder. But the so-called thunder breath swordsmanship is not of much use to Nami. Among the swordsmanship of General Thunder and Lightning, there are many swordsmanships that surpass the breath of thunder. Unlike Tia, Lei Qianshin mastered not only powerful power, but also superb slashing techniques. Chapter 261 Karina understands Rosen's desire for exclusivity. Without any exaggeration. On top of the entire Senya. Anyone can ask Rosen to help provide guidance on martial arts, or sword. But Nami was the only one who didn't need Rosen's guidance on this. The reason why Lei Movie became a general relied not only on his powerful power to control lightning, and his unique and superb martial arts skills. For Lei Qianshin, what she masters is not just as simple as the use of the sword. Various weapons. She can use them skillfully. 180. If Nami wants to master martial arts, she only needs to develop the template of General Thunder as much as possible. Really, why is this like this? Nami pouted and said to Rosen resentfully. She wanted to get in touch with Rosen through the excuse of practicing. As a result, Rosen mentioned this. Didn't it block the opportunity for him and Rosen to be alone together? While Nami was resentful, Rosen had already passed Nami and arrived at the bow of the Senya. It's really spectacular. Rosen looked at the upside-down mountain in the distance and couldn't help but feel filled with emotion. Even now, there is still a certain distance between the Senya and the upside-down mountain. But Rosen could already see the majestic and wide red line. This kind of feeling is completely different from what you can feel when watching anime. Subconsciously, Rosen opened his voyage diary system and was about to take pictures of the topsy-turvy mountain in the distance. Nami, who was following Rosen, saw this and his eyes lit up. The next moment, she quickly appeared next to Rosen with a bolt of lightning, planning to sell benefits to prevent Rosen from taking pictures of upside-down mountain. Acting with him is Karina. This is something that the crew members of the Senya have already discussed. If Rosen has the tendency to reveal his current location through his diary, if possible, they will have to find ways to prevent Rosen from revealing the location of the Senya. So that Marine wouldn't find them. After all, now, they are facing the situation of being hunted by Marine and world government. However, Nami and Karina have good ideas. But they obviously underestimated Rosen's determination to shoot upside down mountain this time. Even if the two used methods that had a high probability of distracting Rosen. Photos of upside down mountain still appear in Rosen's diary. At the same time, it also appeared in the diary copies of each diary copy holder. Huh, what's wrong with you? Nami, Karina. After Rosen took the photo, he seemed to have just come back to his senses and looked at Nami and Karina, who were holding one of his hands and pressing it on their respective hearts. Captain Rosen, I feel a little pain in my heart. Karina looked at the photo of upside down mountain that had appeared on her copy of the diary and said with some discomfort. Sure enough, it's not always possible to stop the captain in time. Unless we use enough stimulating means every time, it is impossible to turn Captain Rosen's attention to us every time. Quote. Forget it, we are about to enter the Grand Line through upside down mountain. Single quote. Even if the location is revealed now, East Blue's Marine probably won't be able to catch up. As for what's behind the upside down mountain, it's probably too late for the people from Marine and world government to arrive. Quote. Karina thought to herself. As time goes by, Karina can already feel that using ordinary benefits is gradually unable to divert Rosen's attention from the registration system to the female crew members in time. Although the sexual contact was direct, Karina believed that this would definitely divert Rosen too, Five's attention. But the problem is that sex cannot happen anytime and anywhere. It's impossible. Even if Rosen wanted to announce his location through a diary on the street, the female crew members would have to take off their clothes and push them to Rosen. Even if they were willing, Karina believed that Rosen himself would not be willing. After getting along for a while, Yinlina understood that Rosen would not want her female body to be seen by other men. Chapter 262 Kaya's broad heart makes Nami envious. Me too. My heart hurts a little too. Nami also made a sign of pain and said to Rosen. Having said that, Nami was happy in her heart. After all, only at this time, when she wanted to get close to Rosen, Karina would not stop her. Although she wouldn't stop her at this time. Although Rosen still did not forget to upload photos in the diary because of the welfare of her and Karina. But Nami wasn't too worried. Just like Karina thought, Nami didn't think that people from Marine or world government could catch them at this time. Heartache. Rosen, who was excited about seeing the upside-down mountain, frowned immediately when he heard Nami and Karina's words. 06. The next moment, he entered a state of transparency into the world, and his naked eyes quickly saw through the bodies of Nami and Karina, reaching directly to their hearts. Bang 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 bang. In Rosen's eyes, the hearts of Nami and Karina were beating powerfully. Although the heart rate is slightly faster than usual, it is still in a normal state and is far from a state that would cause pain in the heart. At this moment, I felt that she had been tricked by Nami and Karina. Haha, you two are heartbroken at the same time. Rosen smiled and said to Nami and Karina. Karina and Nami looked at each other, and then nodded affirmatively to Rosen. In that case, you should go find Kaya. She is the ship's doctor of our flame blade pirates. She can treat any problem you have. Look for me, there's nothing I can do. Rosen shook his head and said. He has not yet entered the state of fusion with Kaya, and cannot use the power of the Tsunade template. Therefore, he was a little confused as to what Ka and Nami were doing. But soon, he had a guess in his mind. Could these two women have made some kind of bet? That's why you appear next to me like this now. He even didn't hesitate to give his heart into my hands. Single quote. Rosen thought to himself. I feel that my heartache can only be treated by Captain Rosen. Karina chuckled and pressed Rosen's hand harder toward her heart. Since there is no way to prevent Rosen from revealing his current coordinates, it is better to get close to Rosen. This is what Karina is thinking at the moment. The same is what Nami is thinking at the moment. Captain Rosen, don't just look at Karina. My heartache can only be cured by your help. As Nami spoke, she grabbed Rosen's hand with both hands and pressed it toward her heart. At this moment, Rosen could even feel Nami and Karina transforming in his hands. Haha, if that's the case, then I'll treat you well. Rosen chuckled lightly, and then used both hands to exert force. The next moment, Nami and Karina exclaimed. Karina. Hiss. Nami. Yeah. Oh, there seems to be a reaction. It seems that my treatment is still effective. If this is the case, then I will increase my efforts. Rosen watched the reactions of Karina and Nami, and moved his hands even more. For a moment, Nami and Karina both exclaimed. In order to take more attentive care, Rosen even changed the position of his hand and appeared on the other side of Nami and Karina's hearts. Of course, after that, the two of them continued to scream and transform. After a few minutes, Nami and Karina finally couldn't bear the real pain in their hearts and backed away, looking at Rosen in awe. 180 afterwards, the two of them walked towards Kaya with resentment on their faces, preparing to get some medicine from Kaya that would help promote blood circulation and remove blood stasis. Puff. Kaya couldn't help laughing when she heard that Karina and Nami were asking her to get medicine. Although he stopped quickly, it made Karina and Nami look more and more resentful. Hug, sorry. Nami, Karina, come with me. My medicine is still in the infirmary. Captain Rosen and the others are here to watch, so it shouldn't be a problem. Kaya quickly apologized and said to Karina and Nami. Have a good laugh, Kaya. Don't forget, your heart is bigger than mine. Be careful, Captain Rosen will rub you like me next time. Nami pouted, glanced at Kaya's heart, and said while rubbing her somewhat raw heart. Chapter 263 Red Line, I am fantasy to connect the world. Captain Rosen would never do this to me. It's not like you just casually said your heart hurts before. That's why he would use yours to rub you there. I believe Captain Rosen will treat me gently. Kaya shook her head and said. I see, it turns out Kaya, you want Rosen to rub you there gently. I'm curious, is it just a matter of rubbing, or do you need to do other things while rubbing? Karina raised the corners of her mouth and said to Kaya with a slight smile. Karina, why did you say that? I did not mean that. Kaya couldn't help being shocked when she heard Karina's words, and spoke quickly. Hey, what do you mean? Karina said reluctantly. Just now they had received a good punishment from Rosen, and just now Kaya couldn't help but laugh at them. Karina has decided to punish Kaya well at this moment. No, I won't tell you this anymore. Come with me, I'll go to the room to get some medicine for you. After Kaya finished speaking, she quickly ran to the cabin. She didn't want to talk to Karina and Nami about this at this time. After all, Rosen is looking over here right now. If Rosen listened to these words, and then Rosen really acted like Karina said. Just thinking about this possibility, Wei Ya's face has turned red. Appearance. What kind of bet did these two women make that suddenly gave their hearts to me? Najigao, you have been on the deck all the time. Do you have any impression? After Rosen watched Kaya, Nami and Karina enter the cabin, he turned to Nokigao and asked. I don't know, maybe the two of them simply want to be close to you, I don't know. It's like me now. Nokigao walked to Rosen's side, raised her hand and buried Rosen's arm deeply into her heart. Then, he gave Rosen a big smile. To be honest, although Nami and Karina seemed to be a little painful before. But Nuo Chigao was very envious. She also wanted the object of her heart to transform in Rosen's hands. However, Rosen did not see the expectation in her heart. Are you close to me? Maybe so, but I always feel that the two of them were not like this before. Rosen rubbed his chin with his other hand and muttered. Noki raised her eyebrows, seeing how calm he could be even if he buried one of Rosen's arms into his heart. Gradually, he began to believe that Rosen's threshold had been reached. After receiving numerous benefits, Rosen has gradually become immune to some less exciting benefits. What Nakigao didn't know was that the reason why he was like this now was entirely because of the battle with Tashigi. At this moment, his threshold is certainly much higher than usual. Unable to understand why Nami and Karina acted like that, Rosen shook his head and continued to cast his gaze towards the upside-down mountain in the distance. Soon, Nojiko discovered the photo taken by Rosen immediately after. A piece of Rosen's diary began to appear quickly in the diary column under the photo. Photos. First sight of upside-down mountain and the red line. I have to say that upside-down mountain and the red line are really magnificent, especially the red line. Closing square bracket. Speaking of which, this world is really amazing. Closing square bracket. The sea water can flow backwards and turn the mountain upside down. There was no such mountain in my previous world. Quote. There is also the red line, a supercontinent that is so narrow that it can split the entire world in two, and at the same time, the calm belt divides the world into four. Closing square bracket. Such a continent is unthinkable in my original world. Closing square bracket. Speaking of which, it is precisely because of the existence of red line and calm belt that the entire world is not connected. Closing square bracket. What if one day people built a ship that could travel through the calm belt and punch a hole in the red line? Read. This world is completely connected. People can choose more freely where they want to be when Jiaolei arrives. Closing square bracket. However, does world government, or IM really want to connect the whole world? Charlotte Smoothie. Backquote, the world government will not allow such a thing to happen. Even if they really want to, it is just to facilitate their own rule of the world. Quote. Bello Betty, to completely connect the whole world, if it can be used for good things, it might be a great thing. Koala. Now it's confirmed that Rosen has indeed arrived in the sea near Upside Down Mountain. Damn it, aren't we too late to meet Rosen in East Blue? Chapter 264. Ain wants to try to contact Rosen. Gion. Rosen has really arrived at the Upside Down Mountain. Can Vice Admiral Garp and Zephyr Sensei make it in time? No, we have to confirm with Vice Admiral Garp and the others. Khalifa. If the marine people can't stop Rosen in time, I will have to follow the orders from above to investigate Rosen. Tisk, with Rosen's friends here, I will be found out as soon as I show up. It's about status. Nico Robin, is Rosen about to climb the Upside Down Mountain? He's really delayed by the mission assigned by Crocodile. I don't know if it's too late. Zala, Princess Vivi should be near Upside Down Mountain at the moment. Michita, I hope Princess Vivi hasn't been driven away by that strange old man stationed in Upside Down Mountain yet. No, that princess is too weak now. She can't even handle an old man, and she is often driven away by him. In order to be more sure of meeting Rosen, I have to rush there now. If that old man dares to drive me away, I will kill him. Quote. Princess Vivi, great, Rosen is coming. I have to go now. Ain, Upside Down Mountain. Rosen's Xenia appeared here at this time. Is it because they did not come directly to Upside Down Mountain, but took a detour to other places? In this way, they may not meet Vice Admiral Garp, but Mr. Zephyr and I may meet Rosen. Quote. Atop a marine warship, Ain stood facing the wind. Above the sea area behind the warship is Upside Down Mountain. Just as Ain thought, Rosen's Agad did not head for the Upside Down Mountain at full speed. On the way, Rosen and his party also stopped on a desert island. As for the reason, it is naturally because Karina, Nami and others did not want Marine and the world government to have a chance to find them and deliberately chose the route. After all, they had no way of determining whether the marine warship would be able to catch up with them if it was traveling at full speed. It is also uncertain whether Marine will be able to deploy troops in advance of Upside Down Mountain. Thanks to this, even though Garp had arrived under the upside-down mountain, he couldn't bear to wait for a long time and asked for a small boat to search elsewhere. The only powerful marine still waiting near the upside-down mountain is Zephyr. Of course, if Garp rushed back at this time, Aang didn't know whether he would be able to rush back in time. Of course, Aang had no idea of notifying Garp of his return. After all, she was asking for help from Rosen. She looked at the ocean in the distance, and then at the upside-down mountain in the distance behind her, feeling both happy and nervous at the same time. I was naturally happy to meet Rosen. After all, meeting Rosen was a prerequisite for her to become a member of the Rosen Pirates. Nervousness is that she is worried that her actions will make Zephyr sad, and she is also nervous about whether Rosen will accept her. Hina clearly said she was willing to become his sex toy, and Rosen did not accept her as a partner. So, even if I find an opportunity for Rosen to use the command spell on me and say the same thing as Hina. Single quote. Rosen may not accept me as his partner. Single quote. However, if I can, like Tashigi, use the actual action of stabbing celestial dragons to reassure Rosen. Perhaps he will accept me as his companion because I am one of the heroines in his works. Single quote. It's just that at this time, there are no celestial dragons around Rosen. Single quote. Aang felt more and more nervous when he thought of this. She was worried that her desperate actions would end up in vain. No matter what, you have to give it a try. Quote. If you let things develop like this first. Single quote. Mr. Zephyr may really face a tragic ending in the future. It's just that if Mr. Zephyr and Rosen met now, there would definitely be a fight. Quote. How can I make sure that neither Rosen nor Mr. Zephyr is hurt, and that I can get to Rosen smoothly? Or should I leave alone and prevent Teacher Zephyr from meeting Rosen? Aang thought to himself, his brows gradually wrinkled. Chapter 265 Zephyr. I joined forces with Garp to stop Rosen. Although Aang has not seen Rosen fight in person, but through a copy of the diary, she indirectly learned Rosen's power. To be honest, she didn't have any expectations that Zephyr could defeat Rosen. Although Zephyr was once a marine admiral, his strength has declined. If this were not the case, he would not have his arm cut off by the vicious pirates. Perhaps, on the day Zephyr's wife and children were killed, Zephyr's strength had already begun to decline. Rosen and Zephyr are complete opposites. His strength is rising at a frightening speed. Even if Rosen can't reproduce the way he defeated Mihawk now, he should still be better than Zephyr. At least, that's what Aang felt in his heart. Just when Aang was hesitating whether to leave alone in a lifeboat before Rosen's flame blade pirates arrived. A familiar voice sounded behind her. Aang, what are you doing here? Teacher Zephyr. Aang turned around and realized that Fa had already walked behind him. Teacher Zephyr, I was just wondering if we could really meet Rosen here. Aang frowned and said hesitantly. Of course she knew that if she went to guard the entrance to Upside Down Mountain now, she would definitely meet Rosen. But without any way to ensure Zephyr's safety, she really didn't want to tell Zephyr the news about Rosen, lest Zephyr would be in danger. I see. Zephyr nodded and said, you don't have to worry about this. Just now, Gion called me and contacted me. She got information that Rosen seems to be arriving at the entrance to Upside Down Mountain. So I plan to let everyone sail the warship towards the entrance of Upside Down Mountain now. Aang, please come and help too. Hearing this, Aang's eyes widened with surprise on his face. It never occurred to her that she was still hesitating whether to tell Zephyr about Rosen. Gion actually told Zephyr using a phone bug. Seeing that Zephyr was about to turn around, he planned to convey the order to others. Aang quickly took a step forward and came to Zephyr. Teacher Zephyr, do we just rely on us to capture Rosen? You know, Rosen is very strong. He defeated Golden Lion and then Mihawk. And he has powerful partners. Can we really stop them if we go there now? Zephyr looked at the worried Aang in front of him and felt a little surprised. You know, in the past, no matter what the task was, as long as it was given by him, Aang would not ask the reason or whether it was dangerous, and would go all out to execute the order. This is the first time for such an inquiry. Even so, Zemo still answered Aang's question. Aang, I understand that Rosen is very powerful. He even possesses the special power to unite with his partners. Zero, please give me flowers. This results in him being able to use different devil fruit powers. It is naturally quite troublesome to deal with such a powerful person with multiple abilities. But even so, as Marine, we need to capture him. What that man did in Logue Town was really too much. Zephyr's heart stirred up again when he thought about how Rosen dared to openly burn the celestial dragons in Logue Town. This was the first time he had heard of such a crazy pirate since he retreated to the second line. Point 0. It's no wonder that both Marine and the world government issued death orders to capture Rosen. But you don't have to worry too much, Aang. Gion not only contacted me, but also contacted Garp. Although he has been separated from us for a while, fortunately, he is not too far away from the Daoshanhai area now. So, we only need to hold Rosen and others at the entrance of Upside Down Mountain for a while. Garp will be able to arrive in time. I think no matter how tough Rosen and his partners are facing me and Garp, they won't be our opponents. Having said this, Zephyr showed a confident smile on his face. Although he is no longer a Marine Admiral, his experience as one of the most powerful warriors has made him still confident in his abilities. Of course, this confidence also comes from his weapons. Zephyr lowered his head and looked at the huge mechanical arm in his hand. Chapter 266 Yuta draws circles on Rosen's chest. Rosen is demon fruit power. I think my new arm can effectively restrain him. Zephyr laughed. He is not a smoker, and he is not a person with abilities. Therefore, there will be no scene of being restrained by one's own weapons. At this moment, I felt like I was seeing the scene where I wrote about Garp, an old guy, taking down Rosen. After he said something to Ain and asked him to prepare for sailing, he turned and walked towards the others. Ain looked at Zephyr's back, and the worry in his eyes almost turned into physical objects, dripping, 550. Rosen is not demon fruit power. Single quote. Teacher Zephyr's robotic arm has no way of affecting Rosen. Ain gritted his teeth, but after all, he was unable to express what was in his heart. Now everyone in the world thinks that Rosen is an Esper, a demon beast of some kind that can create a world of swords and merge with others. But they, the holders of copies of the diary, knew clearly that Rosen was not a person with abilities at all. The so-called seastone weapons, the so-called sea water, etc., are not Rosen's weaknesses. No, I have to remind Teacher Zephyr. Quote. If Mr. Zephyr trusts his weapons too much, he will definitely suffer a big loss. This Gion is so abominable that you let Mr. Zephyr take risks. Single quote. Hopefully Garp will feel it in time. Wait, if Garp really arrived in time, Rosen wouldn't really be caught, right? If that's the case, how can I change Teacher Zephyr's future? Ain's eyes widened and he felt tangled in his heart. Meanwhile, on the other side. On the sea area not far from the upside-down mountain area. The Garp that Ain was thinking about was stepping on the air and flying freely in the air like a bird. Damn it, how could such a coincidence happen? I'm just going to search somewhere else for a while. That guy Rosen appeared in the waters of Upside Down Mountain. Since Gion is so sure, this caution must not be fake. I hope it's not too late. Garp muttered something, thinking of the consequences if he couldn't catch Rosen in time. He stepped on the air harder with his feet. There was just a bang, and a strong shock wave erupted from the air stepped on by Yinpu's feet. And Garp himself followed the shock wave and rushed towards the distance at a faster speed than before. Now, the distance between Garp and the Flame Blade Pirates is 56 kilometers. Flame Blade Pirates. Senya number. Captain Rosen accidentally revealed our location earlier. Single quote. If there really is someone from Marine around. Quote. They will definitely gather towards the entrance of Upside Down Mountain. Tashigi felt worried when he thought of this. In the end, she directly used Tia's power, stepped on the pedal formed by Reiatsu, held the telescope in her hand, and flew into the air. Rosen noticed this scene and couldn't help but look a little strange. What are you doing, giving me benefits? Rosen raised his head and looked at the sky, and said with some doubts. You know, Tashigi is not wearing some raw clothes at this moment. Under Rosen's recommendation, Tashigi is now wearing a short skirt that reaches her knees. As soon as Tashigi flew into the air, Rosen instantly saw Tashigi's pants with a bear pattern engraved on them. Tashigi probably wants to ensure the safety of Upside Down Mountain. There's nothing we can do. Who said we don't have a lookout now? We can only ask Tashigi, who can walk in the air, to temporarily act as a lookout. Yuta stood next to Rosen and said with a chuckle. Yeah. Rosen raised his eyebrows and said. But speaking of air walking, if you can summon Elizabeth's wings, can't you also fly, Yuta? Hehe, it's true, but rather than being a lookout in 2.4, I would rather be a singer. Yuta said with a chuckle, stretched out her hands and hugged Rosen's arms. Besides, you have already arranged for me to be a singer, so you can't make me suffer and do other things, right? If I really do everything, I won't be able to sing for you, and I won't be able to do that with you. At the end of her speech, Yuta raised a hand and gently drew circles on Rosen's heart. Chapter 267 Encountering a marine warship on the road, Zephyr arrives. You little girl. That's really naughty. Rosen pinched Yuta's nose and said angrily. Then, he quietly glanced at Nokigao, who was standing at the rudder on the deck and controlling the rudder. Rosen breathed a sigh of relief when she realized she didn't seem to hear what Yuta said. Later, Rosen also imitated Yuta's movements and stretched out his hand to draw circles on Yuta's heart. Okay, then you can sing for me properly, Princess Yuta. But I think that simply singing can no longer reflect your skills. Only by increasing the difficulty can you fully demonstrate your skills. Rosen said. Captain Rosen 06, you don't sing when you want to do that, do you? Yuta raised her eyebrows and said. Huh, you can guess this. Rosen said in surprise. Certainly. Yuta raised her head proudly. A lot of the time, I'm a quick-witted person. In Rosen's diary, he once mentioned asking Violet to dance while doing that with him. In other words, it is to integrate surname skills into dancing. By analogy, thinking of her identity as a singer, Yuta can certainly guess what Rosen is thinking at this moment. At this time, Yuta couldn't help but feel secretly happy. She was a little happy that Rosen didn't know, but she could know Rosen's inner thoughts. After all, this is a more realistic way to get to know her lover. A witty one. Where did you learn this? Rosen blinked, feeling even more surprised. What's the problem, Rosen? Yuta tilted his head and said. Naturally, she could not tell Rosen that she had learned this sentence from Rosen's work. I just find it strange. This sentence is quite popular in my hometown. Rosen raised his hand and stroked Yuta's hair, wanting to continue asking questions. At this moment, a sound of breaking through the air came quickly from the sky. Rosen raised his head and looked into the air, only to see Tashigi falling towards his position at a rapid speed. In just a few seconds, she had landed next to Rosen. Tashigi, what's wrong? You look anxious. Did you find something? Yuta looked at Tashigi's nervous expression, and his face instantly became serious, and he immediately walked away from Rosen's arms. Yuta naturally knew what Tashigi was flying into the air to find. What could make Tashigi look nervous now would definitely not be a good thing. Sure enough, after Yuta asked, Tashigi revealed some not-so-good news. Captain Rosen first found a marine warship in the sea more than 10 kilometers away to the right and diagonally ahead. At this moment, the marine warship is heading towards the entrance of Upside Down Mountain. Follow the speed of the Xenia and the marine warship. We'll meet at the entrance to Upside Down Mountain. Tashigi said quickly. Marine warship. Rosen raised an eyebrow. We unexpectedly encountered a marine warship at this time. There are sea stones on the bottom of marine warships. Marine shouldn't be able to pass through the Upside Down Mountain like pirates. So, are they here to stop us? Rosen's impact on what he does in Logue Town is numerous. Even after such a period of time, he could not see the newspaper, nor could he see the reward notice. But Rosen believes that people from Marine and world government will definitely take action. Although it was a bit unexpected, Rosen could understand that the marine warship appeared here to intercept 473 at this time. Tashigi, you were once a marine. Can you tell whose marine warship the marine warship opposite is? Rosen asked. At this time, Rosen wanted to own observation hockey more and more. Although the transparent world gives him a perception that is not inferior to that of medium-strength observation hockey. But that's also close-range perception. When it comes to long-distance detection, it has to be observation hockey. I know. Tashigi nodded and said. Although marine warships are generally the same. But the marine warship over there is too special. That's a marine guerrilla warship. Hearing this, Rosen said slightly surprised. Marine guerrillas. So, is it the French soldier who came to stop me? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 268 Tashigi wants to fight with Rosen. Tashigi nodded immediately after hearing what Rosen said. The marine guerrillas led by Zephyr are unique among the entire marine. There was no way Tashigi would admit his mistake. She was confident that the person currently presiding over the work on the opposite warship was Zephyr, the current marine instructor and marine guerrilla commander. However, now that Zephyr is here, then Ain should come too. After she learned that Zephyr would be betrayed by Marine and the world government, she seemed to have a strong opinion of Marine. If Rosen really meets her, will she choose to become a member of Rosen's pirate group like me? Tashigi thought to himself. Although Tashigi and Ain were both in the female Marines communication group. And the two also added each other as friends. But the moment Tashigi decided to leave Marine, he already withdrew from the communication group in front of Rosen's friends. And deleted all female Marines' friends. Therefore, she had no way to contact Ain for confirmation at this time. However, thinking about Ain's behavior since he learned about Zephyr's endgame, Tashigi felt that Ain might really leave Marine. After all, the most important person for Ain is gone now. Interesting, it's really Zephyr. This is really fate. Rosen smiled and looked at the other side of the sea with some interest. Although the marine warship on the opposite side cannot yet be seen with the naked eye. But out of trust in Tashigi, Rosen didn't think Tashigi would lie. Captain Rosen, what should we do next? Do you need to turn the ship around temporarily and delay the trip to Upside Down Mountain for a while? Tashigi said slightly worried. Zephyr appears here, so other marines may also appear here. Although Rosen and the entire Flame Blade pirates are not weak. But if the two sides really meet, Tashigi is still a little worried. Well, Rosen touched his chin. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head. We've been delayed quite a bit. If you delay entering the Grand Line, I'd be bored. Just a Zephyr word, I think we can handle it. Rosen said. Rosen, are you going to kill Zephyr? Tashigi said worriedly. Although Tashigi is not Zephyr's disciple, he has the same respect for Zephyr. After all, Zephyr is not a degenerate marine like Colonel Mouse. This unkillable admiral who has devoted his whole life to marine can be said to be a truly good person. If possible, Tashigi didn't want to see Zephyr killed. Although Rosen once said in his diary that he respected Zephyr very much. But Rosen also expressed that he can be merciless when dealing with his enemies. Tashigi was really worried that Rosen would use all his strength to defeat Zephyr. What, you don't want to see me kill Zephyr? Rosen smiled and looked at Tashigi. Tashigi didn't speak, but nodded seriously and looked at Rosen with pleading eyes. Seeing this, Rosen raised his hand and touched Tashigi's hair. Don't worry, although I am a pirate, Zephyr is a marine. Quote. But I have no intention of killing Zephyr if I don't have to. I still respect that man quite a bit. Rosen continued amid Tashigi's relieved expression. However, now that we have met, he will definitely want to intercept me. If we really have to fight, we can enter the first half of the Grand Line. I don't mind learning the skills of Marine Instructor Zephyr. Tashigi, if you are worried, just come with me to deal with Zephyr. It just so happens that I haven't merged with you yet and fought with the enemy. Lead as this time is the perfect time to test out Arancardia's power. Hearing this, Tashigi's face turned red on the spot. What does it mean to not be in harmony? These days, they have obviously done everything they should and should not do. But soon, Ince realized that his understanding was wrong. That's not what Rosen said. Instead, the two of them merged so that Rosen could use Tia's power. Huh, I got it, Captain Rosen. I would like to give you my power. Tashigi nodded and said without hesitation. Chapter 269 Shy Tashigi dare not meet Nami and others. Tashigi was not at ease when Rosen was left to fight Zephyr alone. If he could fuse with Rosen and witness the battle between Rosen and Zephyr with his own eyes, this would at least make Tashigi feel relieved a little. After all, as long as she is in a state of fusion with Rosen. When Rosen and Zephyr were fighting, she was able to persuade Rosen at any time. Then, let's merge now. Then, let's go to where you said the marine warship is. Before fighting, I need to confirm the situation on the other side. Besides Zephyr, there are other powerful combat forces. Rosen looked into the distance and said quietly. He had never forgotten that Garp and Gion were still in East Blue. If only Gion and Zephyr were on the same team as 863, Rosen would still have the confidence to deal with them. After all, the combat power on his side is not only his own, but also Yuta, Karina and others. By now, Yuta, Karina and other partners have grown up. Rosen believes they can put their strength to good use in battle. But if Garp and Zephyr go together, Rosen thought of the scene where Garp beat up his predecessor, Marine Admiral Aokiji, and felt quite serious about Garp. No matter how confident he is, he doesn't think that he and the entire Flame Blade pirates can deal with both Zephyr and Garp at the same time. Even if he can temporarily drag out Garp, the rest of the Flame Blade pirates may not be able to deal with Zephyr and the people brought by Zephyr and Garp. I understand, in that case, let's get started. Tashigi nodded and took the initiative to extend his hand to Rosen. What worries Rosen is what worries Tashigi. Since Rosen wanted to go there to confirm in person, she would naturally not object. Although this may still be discovered by the other party. But at least they can get a head start. Afterwards, whether fighting or escaping, they can take the lead. Rosen smiled, took Tashigi's outstretched hand with one hand, and climbed up her chest with the other hand under Tashigi's blushing gaze. However, before Tashigi could say anything, Rosen used the authority of the system to activate the power called fusion. Two halos of light emerged from Rosen and Tashigi's bodies. Slowly, the two people got closer and closer, and the two light groups finally turned into one light group. And when the light dissipated, Tashigi had disappeared. In the center of the field AGFF, Rosen got off alone. Although he is just one person, Rosen's image has undergone tremendous changes at this moment. His original black hair turned into blonde. The originally decent black clothes on his body turned into pure white clothes. The high collar covered half of his face. On the back of his waist was a short sword. On the other side, Tashigi opened his eyes and found that he was already inside a glowing bubble. Sure enough, it's exactly what Nami and the others said. After fusion, you will enter such a space. And, it will be in such a state. Tashigi looked at his naked appearance, with a hint of blush on his face. At this time, she suddenly felt lucky that she had a further relationship with Rosen. Otherwise, she might not dare to use the power of fusion with Rosen. It was at this time that Tashigi noticed new information in his copy of the diary. When she opened it, her cheeks turned red on the spot. Why did this man take such photos again? Single quote. Tashigi sighed inwardly. Now, she also remembered the past integration of Rosen and the other crew members of the Flame Blade Pirates. Whenever this happens, Rosen takes photos. If someone else sees this look. What should I do? Tashigi covered his face, bent his legs, and trembled shyly. She could already imagine what Nami, Karina and others would look like when she saw them again, or when she met the female marine she once knew. Chapter 270 Facing the Battle, Yuta wants to be together. Photo. Tashigi's fusion state, angle 1. Photo. Tashigi's fusion state, angle 2. Photo. Tashigi's fusion state, angle 3. Photo. Tashigi's fusion state, angle, degree 10. Tashigi, still so cute, so shy even in this fused state. That's right, after all, you can't wear clothes in this state. Closing square bracket. It's normal to feel shy when experiencing something like this for the first time. Closing square bracket. Speaking of which, after merging with Tashigi, my skin turned light black. Closing square bracket. On the other hand, Tashigi still maintains his white skin. Closing square bracket. Sure enough, if you want to see the black-skinned Tashigi, you still have to wait until she uses the power of Tashigi. Closing square bracket. Of course, both the white-skinned Tashigi and the black-skinned Tashigi are so cute. Closing square bracket. Charlotte Smoothie. Rosen and Tashigi fused. Is Rosen planning to practice using Tia's power with Tashigi, or is there something going on with him? Stussy. Rosen publicly burned the bodies of celestial dragons and publicly stated that he would take action against female celestial dragons. Marine and world government will definitely take action against him. Bello Betty. So, Rosen has met an enemy. Gertz. With Rosen's power, he shouldn't be defeated. I'm still waiting to see him and get the power emperor through him to integrate Elba. Khalifa. The world government shouldn't be able to touch Rosen, so does it mean he's from Marine? Gion. Rosen merged with Tashigi. Could it be that he has discovered Zephyr and plans to fight Zephyr? Dole. Ain must be informed about this matter. Peacock. Ion should have noticed the photos of Tashigi taken by Rosen. Oops, Rosen and Zephyr are fighting at this time. It will be difficult for Zephyr to stop him. Xiarli. Now Rosen can control the power of water, and Rosen can also fly. It's not easy for Marine to deal with such a strong person. Waidabe. The Marine people moved really fast, and they actually met Rosen. Unfortunately, our speed was too slow. However, the Marine people didn't even think about stopping Rosen. I just didn't know that the person who appeared in front of Rosen this time who will the enemy be. Having said that, this Tashigi is really getting more and more beautiful. Whether it's her skin or her complexion, could it be said that she really had sex with Rosen? Hina. Tashigi must have become much stronger. Her current ability should be able to support Rosen using Tia's power for a long time. I hope Teacher Zephyr will be okay. Vivi. We must successfully cross the upside-down mountain, Rosen. Jewelry Bonnie. Rosen, don't get caught before you tell me about my father. Asshole, why is this guy so fast? No, I have to get to Yadaishan faster. Marines people will definitely stop him. Can't stop him. Ain. Has Rosen discovered us, so we still have to fight. What should I do? Yuta, I'll leave Tashigi's famous sword Shiger to you for now. I'll go over and take a look first, and then you can drive the Xenia in the designated direction. If I conclude that the enemy on the other side is invincible, I will come back directly. 0. Please give me flowers. But if the enemies on the other side can handle it, I will test Tia's power against them. Rosen said as he handed the famous sword Shiger, which was left behind after merging with Tashigi, into the hand of Yuta beside him. After merging with Tashigi, Rosen could clearly feel that his perception was much more sensitive. He was a little surprised by this. But soon, he felt relieved. As an Arankar, Tia has the means to sense Reiatsu. Through this method, she can keenly target the invisible Shinigami. Although people in this world do not exist Reiatsu. But it also has a certain breath of life. As an undead, Tia is naturally quite sensitive to the breath of life. Rosen's perception has also become much sharper. At this time, Rosen became more and more confident in detecting the situation of the marine warship on the opposite side. Generally speaking, the stronger a person's vitality, the stronger the person's power. He is completely able to judge a person's strength and weakness by sensing his or her life breath. So that he can decide whether to fight or retreat. Rosen, don't you need me to go with you? Yuta said worriedly after receiving Shiger. Although Yuta is usually carefree, she is very caring. Otherwise, she would not have discovered that the Music City was actually caused by her ability. Although Rosen knows the past and the future, he still has a system. But Rosen hasn't reached invincibility yet. And there are countless strong men among Marine. Therefore, Yuta is really worried about Rosen facing Marine alone. Chapter 271 Rosen's shortcoming is that he is too carefree. Still not, Yuta, your ability is good. I can feel more at ease if I stay on board the Senya. If there is an emergency when I am out, I believe you can handle it. Rosen smiled at Yuta and said. In Rosen's eyes, Yuta has made rapid progress in recent times. Even using Elizabeth's templates entirely, the tower will last a long time. And Yuta also controls the power of the Song Fruit. The combination of Elizabeth's template and the power of the Song Fruit is 080. Rosen believes that even the strongest in Marine must be dealt with carefully. With Yuta staying on the pirate ship, Rosen can feel more at ease. What Rosen doesn't know is why Yuta's strength has developed so rapidly. It's entirely because he took a lot of videos and photos of Yuta during this time. The reason why so many videos and photos were taken is because the two have already had in-depth exchanges. Okay, every minute and every second that Tashigi and I merge will consume her physical energy. So I won't waste any more time. I'll go over first and wait until Karina and Kaya come back. You're telling them what's going on here. Rosen patted Yuta's shoulder for the last time, then stood up and stepped on the pedal built by Reiatsu to fly upward diagonally. Not long after, Rosen and Tashigi disappeared in front of Yuta and Nogao. This is really. Yuta shook his head and looked at Nokigao behind him. Nijigao, let's hurry up. If there is any accident, we can help. Hearing this, Nuoku nodded and immediately began to rock the rudder violently. Although she could not hear the previous conversation between Rosen, Tashigi and others very clearly. But she saw everything Rosen recorded in his diary. Thinking of Rosen's character, she didn't think Rosen would merge with Tashigi for no reason and fly away. However, she was still curious about the purpose of Rosen's departure. After adjusting the course and speed, Nojiko asked Yuta curiously. Yuta, what did you say before? What the hell are Rosen and Tashigi doing? Nokigao asked curiously. Yeah, what happened while we were away? Why did Rosen suddenly merge with Tashigi? It couldn't be for practice, right? Nami's curious voice came from the cabin entrance. Nami knew very well that Rosen and Nokigao had been training swordsmanship during this time. Therefore, after she saw the photos Rosen uploaded in her diary, her first impression was that Rosen planned to experiment with the power of fusion with Nokia. Of course, it's also possible that Rosen wanted to appreciate Tashigi's naked state. But this possibility is not high. After all, Rosen had already seen Tashigi in that state when Hina and Tashigi were caught by them. Although Tashigi was more shy at that time and not as open-minded as she is now, and her weak spots were clearly captured in Rosen's photos. It's not because of practice, it's actually because of Marine. Yuta shook his head and quickly told what Tashigi had said before about the Marine guerrillas. So that's it. Marine's Zephyr. If it's just him, I think Captain Rosen can handle it. Karina touched her chin, nodded and said. But, was Captain Rosen really just here for Zephyr? If my memory serves me right. There seems to be a girl named Ain beside Zephyr. And this Ain has appeared in Captain Rosen's diary many times. Captain Rosen went there this time, maybe he was specifically looking for that Ain. Nuo Chigao raised the corner of her mouth and said with interest. Perhaps, it is really possible, but 1.7 is not certain. Kaya nodded in agreement. Rosen's shortcoming is that he is too carefree. Even the pure Kaya knows this. If the Marine on the other side didn't pose a threat, he would really go to see Ain and cause trouble for Marine. It reminds me that Rosen once detained Hina and Tashigi on the Xenia for a period of time. During the process, Hina and Tashigi were also asked to strip naked to express their gratitude. Kaya thought that Rosen might let Ain do the same. Chapter 272 Nokigao. We need to trust Captain Rosen. Speaking of Ain, I remember Rosen mentioned that she respects Zephyr a lot, right? When Marine and the world government betrayed Zephyr, Ain decisively followed Zephyr and left Marine. Do you think she will become our partner like Tashigi? Nami looked up. He asked the big guys around him curiously. It depends on whether the Zephyr of this world will really be betrayed by Marine and the world government. Karina touched her chin and continued. Now Captain Rosen has revealed that Zephyr will be kicked out of the Marine and world governments. Gion, Hina, Ain and other female Marines must also know this. If I were them, I would definitely try to prevent this from happening. 06 Maybe the future will really change, just like the future in us has changed. However, even if Rosen reveals the future, it will not be easy for Gion and Marine to change the future. Their attitude cannot determine the attitude of the world government. And unlike Captain Rosen, they don't have unique powers and know the key to changing the future. Perhaps, even if they try hard, Zephyr will still leave Marine as Captain Rosen once revealed. At that time, in order to prevent Zephyr from facing death in the future, Iron may seek the help of Captain Rosen. At that time, it depends on Captain Rosen himself whether to accept her or not. In the end, we can't decide Captain Rosen's judgment. What we can do is to supervise her and prevent her from becoming an undercover agent of Marine and world government. Just like we oversee Tashigi. Hearing this, even Nami, Carly's opponent, couldn't help but nodded. At this time, Yuta spoke. I don't think people need to stare at Tashigi as much as they did at the beginning. She has already deleted it. Marine still has it, and it is impossible to disclose our situation here to them. Besides, she touched the celestial dragons, which means she cannot be an undercover agent. As for Ain, I think we can suggest Rosen let her do the same thing as Insichi. This way, she won't be able to become an undercover agent for Marine and world government. Hearing this, Karina, Nami and others nodded slightly. Yes, if anyone can touch celestial dragons. That basically rules out the possibility of serving as an undercover agent in the Flame Blade Pirates. World government, it is impossible to abandon a celestial dragons just because they need to be undercover. No matter how unbearable the celestial dragons are, they are the world's nobility introduced by them, and that is the face of their world government. What Karina and Nami didn't know was that Yuta was talking about more than just moving the celestial dragons. The meaning of her words, and Rosen and Tashigi had an in-depth discussion about this. If Ain could also have an in-depth communication with Rosen, Yuta didn't believe that Ain might betray him. It would be even more impossible if Ain could be pregnant with Rosen's child. Just kidding, if my father doesn't do anything outrageous. What mother would leave a father? Anyway, let's take a look at the situation regarding Ain first. As for now, what we need to worry about is what will happen with Rosen, Tashigi and Marine over there. I hope it won't delay our entry into the first half of the Grand Line. Kaya 810 raised his head and said. Hearing this, everyone nodded. By this time, everyone on the ship was looking forward to entering the Grand Line. Karina is for more treasure. Nami is for drawing nautical charts. Kaya is to see a wider world. The same goes for Nojiko. Yuta, on the other hand, came to see Shanks and told Shanks that she had become Rosen's woman and had Rosen's child. Although she is not pregnant yet, Yuta at least hopes to be pregnant with her and Rosen's child before meeting the red-haired Shanks. Considering the respective situations of the girls, they also don't want Marine to stop them. Just trust Captain Rosen. What we have to do now is to carry out Captain Rosen's captain's order and continue to move towards Upside Down Mountain. Nochigao said. Chapter 273. The only strong enemy is Zephyr, don't rush to deal with it. Everyone nodded in agreement, and then got into work, controlling the Senya to quickly move towards the entrance of the Upside Down Mountain. At the same time, on the other side, Rosen petals Reiatsu built petals that fly diagonally upward quickly. Under Tashigi's guidance, it didn't take long for him to overlook the marine warship. With DIA's excellent eyesight, he was able to see the marines working on the deck of the marine warship at high altitudes without even using a telescope. Soon, his eyes locked on the two figures on the marine deck. One is a tall purple-haired man with a huge mechanical arm in his right hand. The other one is a woman with dark blue hair, wearing a tight dress, short shorts, and a cross-shaped scar on her leg. At this moment, she happened to be standing more than 10 meters behind the purple-haired man, looking at his back. As for the other people around the purple-haired man, they were automatically ignored by Rosen. Huge mechanical arm, purple hair, strong body, and strong vitality. This man must be Zephyr. Single quote. The woman with the scar on her foot must be Ain. Single quote. Rosen thought to himself. Both Zephyr and Ain have something iconic about them. Therefore, although there is a gap between the two-dimensional and three-dimensional characters. But Rosen was still very keen to recognize Zephyr and Ain. Rosen, they don't seem to have noticed us. Do we need a raid? Suddenly, Tashigi spoke in Rosen's heart. Wow, Tashigi, you want me to surprise you. You were obviously worried that I would fight Zephyr. By the way, with your actions now, I really want to have a good communication with you. Rosen said with a chuckle. When he turned his attention to Tashigi inside his body. Surprisingly, he discovered that Tashigi was resting his head on the back of his head with his hands and crossing his legs, floating in the bubble as if he were lying on a lounge chair. At this glance, Rosen could not only clearly see the two objects in front of Tashigi, but also the two weak points below him. Tashigi twitched the corner of her mouth. There was no way she could tell Rosen that she did this on purpose. The purpose is to attract Rosen's attention so that Rosen will not take photos of the situation at Zephyr. In that case, whether they leave or fight later, they will not be able to take the upper hand. As for letting Rosen raid Zephyr, Insichi just said it. If possible, she certainly didn't want Rosen to fight with Zephyr and others. However, she didn't have much expectations for this. Therefore, she can only hope that her side can take advantage. After all, in this case, the possibility of Rosen being forced to make a heavy move will be much smaller. To Tashigi's relief, Rosen could see her current appearance in his eyes. But no photos were taken. If Rosen actually took the photo of her now, Tashigi felt that he might even want to die. At this time, Tashigi was somewhat thankful that Rosen's attention was now on Zephyr and others. Let's wait for the raid or something. Quote. I have to check the situation. Rosen answered Tashigi and continued to focus on the marine warship below. As he released his perception, soon, the life breath of the entire marine warship fell into his perception. The one with the strongest breath of life is indeed Zephyr. In other words, there is no other strength on this ship except him. It will be much easier to deal with it this way. Fox. After Rosen sensed it, he thought in his heart. Here, he did not sense the aura of Gion or Garp, which made him feel quite relieved. However, even after knowing that there was no Garp, Gion and others on the warship below, Rosen did not take action directly. Before taking action, he needed to confirm that FA and others would stop him from time to time. During this period, he opened the recording template of his own voyage diary system. With the latest content appearing in Rosen's diary and the diaries of various diary copy holders. Chapter 274 Exposed, Zephyr's Tombstone. Tashigi regretted his previous actions. After all, her actions did not make Rosen give up keeping the diary in the end. In other words, she gave Rosen an advantage for nothing, although she didn't mind letting Rosen take advantage. However, putting on such a shameful action made Tashigi feel a little regretful. Photo. Encounter with Zephyr. Closing square bracket. Photo. Encounter with Ain. Closing square bracket. Former Marine Admiral, current Marine Chief Instructor, current Marine Guerrilla Captain Zephyr. Closing square bracket. I didn't expect to meet Zephyr in this place. Closing square bracket. This man probably came to intercept me. Quote. That's right, this man is still a Marine now, and I did something like that in Logue Town. It's normal for him to intercept me. Closing square bracket. I think Marshal Sengoku of Marine also gave him the order. Closing square bracket. I really didn't expect that what I did in Logue Town would lead to me meeting Zephyr in East Blue. Closing square bracket. By the way, I also met the beautiful Miss Ain. Closing square bracket. Although Ain is still a little immature now, he is already cute enough. Closing square bracket. Black Maria. Photo of Admiral Zephyr in front of Marine. Rosen, this man, really met Marine. Runchi. Just being a former Marine Admiral shouldn't be able to stop Rosen. Charlotte Smoothie. However, Rosen seems to have a certain affection for this ex-Marine Admiral. Will she really choose to take action? Nico Robin. Age, well, this woman should also have a copy of the diary. Rosen is now recording new information in the diary. This woman should have noticed it. Guion. Oh no, Rosen discovered it. If he suddenly attacks Zephyr. Damn it, how long will it take for Vice Admiral Garp to arrive at the scene? Ain. This perspective. Rosen is right above us. On the Marine warship, Ain's eyes darkened slightly. She raised her head and looked into the sky pretending to be nonchalant. However, she was not able to see Rosen in the sky. This is natural. Rosen is now hiding behind the clouds. The photos taken by Rosen were also taken from a perspective found through the diary system, not from his own perspective. Therefore, it is naturally impossible for Ain to find him. After all, Ain has not awakened observation haki now. Helpless, Ain could only carefully search for it in the sky. On the one hand, she wanted to know Rosen's specific location, but on the other hand, she was worried that her appearance would arouse Rosen's suspicion and make Rosen think that she had discovered her. Her worries were unnecessary. Rosen did see her looking into the sky. But Rosen just thought she was looking at the sky. He didn't feel that Ain was looking for him at all. On the other hand, Tashigi in Rosen's body recognized Ain at a glance and was looking for them. Noticing this situation, Tashigi unconsciously felt more nervous. Ain looked around for Rosen, but after a while there was still no trace of Rosen. Just as she was thinking about whether to take out the binoculars and look for Rosen, she suddenly discovered that there was new content on her copy of the diary. And the content this time made Ain's eyes widen. This is Master Shifa's tombstone. No, it's impossible, it's impossible. Ain looked at the animated pictures displayed in the diary in horror. On it, she suddenly saw herself and her friend Binz. Even a little further away, she saw Marine Admiral Aokiji dressed in casual clothes. Of course, what attracted Ain's attention the most was the tombstone in the photo. Because the name written on the tombstone is the name of her teacher, Zephyr. Image. Zephyr's tombstone. Seeing Zephyr with my own eyes reminded me of the animation from the past. Closing square bracket. Who would have thought that he would be the one who taught Marine the three admirals? Quote. Not only did Zephyr not meet a happy death, he was finally sent away by his disciples. Closing square bracket. Hina. Teacher Zephyr's tombstone. Dole. Did Rosen, the man, see Ain and Zephyr, so he thought of the story he had read. Chapter 275 Kizaru's punishment, that's serious. Peacock. Is it really what Rosen said before? Zephyr died, or was he sent away by his disciples? Aokiji Admiral, is this seeing off Zephyr? Domino. According to what Rosen mentioned before, Zephyr's death was related to a kainu and was carried out by Kizaru Admiral. Did Aokiji Admiral just play the role of a disciple who respects his teacher? Charlotte Smoothie. Marine, it's so easy to make jokes. A former hero was forced to this point. Zephyr might as well have been a pirate from the beginning. Waidabe. If Zephyr is willing to be a pirate, maybe Dad will not be able to help but invite him. Run T. So, how did this Zephyr die? Rosen, can't you explain it clearly in one go? Run is the question in his heart, and it is also the question in Ain's heart. She stared intently at her copy of the diary. I prayed in my heart that Rosen could tell me why Marine killed Zephyr in the end. It stands to reason that even if Zephyr leaves Marine, Marine would not take action against Zephyr. After all, he still has considerable prestige among Marine. She believed that no one who was a disciple taught by Zephyr would want to face death. Having said that, her mind quickly thought of Akainu and Kizaru that Rosen had mentioned. Will those two people really kill teacher Zephyr? Ain frowned and thought. At this time, there was new news in Rosen's diary. Speaking of which, Marine's Kizaru Admiral Porisalino is really weird. Closing square bracket. This guy pursues ambiguous justice and is just a fisherman. Closing square bracket. Only when fighting with my own teacher Zephyr, I am serious. Closing square bracket. Catch Jewelry Bonnie, Monkey D. Luffy, Trafalgar D. Water Law, Eustace Kid, Rorano Azoro, Skalakman Apu, Capone Bej, Basil Hawkins, X-Drake in Sabayati Archipelago, Kira, Eurogen the other 7 supernova pirates, they have learned everything. Closing square bracket. Although when he was in Sabayati Archipelago, he captured some pirates for business. Closing square bracket. But in the end, none of the 7 supernova pirates were caught. Closing square bracket. If Luffy and Zoro were there, it was because Garp, Rayleigh, Bear and other factors were involved, so he didn't catch them. Closing square bracket. Then if the other supernova pirates were not caught, there would be some problems. Closing square bracket. Boa Hancock. the Marine Admiral appeared in the Sabayati archipelago. It shouldn't just be because he wanted to capture some supernova-level children. There are often celestial dragons on that island. Could it be that Kizaru's appearance is related to the celestial dragons? Runty. Haha, it really made me laugh. Rosen actually called Kizaru Admiral. However, this guy went out and didn't catch a supernova pirate. This is indeed a bit of a scam. 0. Gion. Did Porosalino make a mistake? Or did he deliberately sell off Vice Admiral Garp's face? However, what kind of relationship does Rayleigh and Shang play in this? Dole. According to what Rosen said in the past, Rayleigh should be Luffy's teacher. What about the bear? Why did Rosen mention the bear? It's impossible. The bear helped Rosen, right? Peacock. Are these 7 people the future supernova pirates? If they could all be caught in advance, the world might be a lot more stable. Oh. Wait, Jewelry Bonnie. If this woman is involved, a bear may indeed appear. Could it be that because the bear had to take care of Bonnie, he accidentally helped Luffy and others escape? Bello Betty. Is Luffy's escape related to bears? Sure enough, Luffy is the son of a dragon. Speaking of which, Zoro is also a supernova in Luffy's pirate group, which is really amazing. That's right, Luffy in the future can become a top strong person, so how can his partner be such a simple person? Quote. Jewelry Bonnie. Dad. Rosen, don't talk nonsense, you will hurt the bear. Charlotte Smoothie. Are they supernovas? In addition to Luffy and Zoro, several other supernovas should also have good potential. If they can be invited, the strength of the Big Mom pirate group should also be further improved. Righteous. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 276 Big Stomach Woman. Being a Rosen woman is much better than being a Teach woman. Monet. Trafalgar D. Water Law. Is this the full name of the boy Rona? Wait, why is there a D? Could it be that this man is also a member of the D family? Sugar. In other words, he will be the enemy of the young master of celestial dragons. Damn it, what is this uneasy feeling? Khalifa. As a member of the D clan, this man can become a Shichibukai in the future. This man is definitely not simple. Something seems wrong. It's not just that Kizaru can't catch Zoro, Luffy, 497, and other members of the Straw Hat Pirates. Closing square bracket. It is equally understandable that he could not catch Jewelry Bonnie. Closing square bracket. After all, Jewelry Boji is the daughter of the Tyrant Bear. Closing square bracket. Tyrant Bear will become a Shichibukai, partly because he wants to protect his woman. Closing square bracket. People in Marine also know this. Closing square bracket. If Kizaru captures Bonnie, then Tyrant Bear will definitely take revenge on Marine and the world government. Closing square bracket. With his magical meatball fruit ability, he will probably cause a lot of damage to Marine. Closing square bracket. Remember after the Summit War, Blackbeard captured Jewelry Bonnie and wanted to ask her to become his woman. Gets kicked in the face by Bonnie. Closing square bracket. Now that I think about it, it's a bit funny. That guy from Blackbeard Teach actually said that Bonnie was too hot-tempered and unfit to be a woman, only a partner. Of course, Bonnie didn't become Teach's partner in the end. Closing square bracket. This guy Teach originally wanted to trade Jewelry Bonnie and Marine for the ship. Closing square bracket. As a result, Marine's Akainu Sakazuki came in person, which forced Blackbeard to leave Bonnie and choose to retreat. Closing square bracket. Even the tough Marine Sakazuki had to say something like, I heard that Bonnie escaped, and I was shocked, when he saw Bonnie. Closing square bracket. And at the end, Bonnie also successfully slipped away from Sakazuki. Closing square bracket. This is enough to show how big the reputation of Tyrant Bear is in Marine. Closing square bracket. Otherwise, Sakazuki's character would definitely throw Bonnie into impel down. Closing square bracket. In other words, he will punch Bonnie directly through the chest, just like he did to Whitebeard. Closing square bracket. Akainu who believes in absolute justice cannot catch Bonnie, let alone Kizaru who believes in fishing justice. Closing square bracket. Shiarly. He is the same Tyrant Bear of Shichibukai as Jinbei. He also has things he wants to protect. Charlotte Smoothie. This is really interesting. If I can catch Jewelry Bonnie, will my mother be able to get an admiral? Widub. However, the ability of the Tyrant Bear seems to be quite troublesome. If someone wants to capture Bonnie and threaten the Tyrant Bear, they should encounter considerable resistance. Boa Hancock. Tyrant Bear has a daughter. Koala. Are you kidding? Mr. Shang actually has a daughter. Bello Betty. And because of his relationship, even if Marine Admiral catches Bonnie, she still has to let her go. Gion. Sure enough, is it because of this that Porosalino didn't catch Bonnie in the Sabayati archipelago? Gion can understand that Kizaru and Akainu both let Bonnie go. After all, there is a deal between every Shichibukai and Marine. And Tyrant Bear's deal happened to be that he didn't want Marine to take action against his daughter. In order to stabilize the Tyrant Bear's mood, Marine will naturally make some choices. Bonnie, on the other hand, felt complicated when she learned that her father was actually protecting her. That Teach actually wants me to be his woman. What a joke. Even if I become Lawson's woman, I can't become the traitorous woman who betrayed the Whitebeard pirates. Bonnie cursed angrily. Thinking of Blackbeard's appearance and his cunning, Bonnie felt sick in his heart. If Blackbeard could provide her with strength like Rosen did and help her save the tyrant bear's bear, she might be willing to sacrifice herself to become Blackbeard's woman. But Blackbeard doesn't have this ability. Of course she couldn't be Blackbeard's woman. Chapter 277 Exposing Drake's spy identity. Instead, it was Rosen. Even though Bonnie hasn't met Rosen in person, and Rosen has a troublesome shortcoming. But as long as Rosen gives enough, she is not unwilling to hand over herself. After taking a few deep breaths, Bonnie's mood gradually calmed down. She looked at the contents of the diary about the tyrant bear, and a light seemed to be shining in her eyes. So Dad has always been protecting me. But why would he leave me? Bonnie frowned and soon fell into memories. He wants to find the reason why Tyrant Bear became a Shichibukai from his memories. She had no idea that at this time, 06 Belabeti, Koala and others who belonged to the Revolutionary Army with the tyrant Shang Dian were already considering whether to invite her to become a member of the Revolutionary Army. And some powerful pirates are also considering whether to capture her and force Tyrant Bear to work for them. After all, the Tyrant Bear is too powerful. As long as there is a chance, they don't mind trying to get the power of the Tyrant Bear. Although for a pirate who is only averagely strong, trying is equivalent to passing away. Not just Jewelry Bonnie, but also that ex-Drake. Kizaru Porisalino did not choose to arrest this guy, which is understandable. Closing square bracket. After all, this guy is a spy assigned by Marine to the pirate camp. Closing square bracket. Gion, oops, is this guy Rosen really going to tell this story? Dole, trouble, we won't be able to let Drake enter Beast's pirates. Charlotte Smoothie, Marine is arranged to join the pirate spy camp. This Drake should be a captain, right? Is he going to infiltrate a large pirate group and become a spy? Widub, Marine, you are still as cunning as ever. But with Rosen's revelation like this, their plan will eventually come to nothing. Runty, those female Marines are probably scolding Rosen in their hearts now, ha ha ha. Speaking of 10th Drake, Marine has invested a lot of money. Closing square bracket. They know Kaido from Beast's Pirates loves Zone Demon Fruit power. Closing square bracket. And Drake happens to be a rare ancient species with Zone Demon Fruit power. Closing square bracket. So, Drake was released a long time ago and planned to use him as a spy. Closing square bracket. The Marines are hoping that he can enter the Beast's Pirates. Closing square bracket. Kizaru Porisalino will naturally not catch this guy. Closing square bracket. Speaking of which, the reason why Kizaru did not capture other supernovas may be because he did not want Drake to be suspected by the Beast's Pirates people, so that he would not be able to join the Beast's Pirates. Closing square bracket. Kim Rummy, what, this guy actually wants to sneak into Beast's Pirates and become a spy. Black Maria, are you an ancient zone user? Indeed, Kaido would indeed be willing to accept such a person to become a member of the Beast's Pirates. Run said, damn Marine, this Drake can't even think of joining the Beast's Pirates as long as I'm here. Charlotte Smoothie, interesting, it seems that even if we want to recruit Supernova, we can't recruit this Drake. I just don't know if this Drake successfully joined Beast's Pirates in the original timeline. Peacock, this man Rosen will really cause trouble for us. Speaking of Drake, this guy really has two skills. Closing square bracket. Not only did this guy successfully break into Beast's Pirates with 067, he even became one of the flying 6 spores of Beast's Pirates. Closing square bracket. To be able to reach this level, Drake is really good at potential. Closing square bracket. Charlotte Snaman, Fei Liushu, this Drake will become so strong in the future. Run T, will you become someone on the same level as me? Rosen must have made a mistake. Black Maria, unfortunately, after what Rosen said, it is impossible for Drake to join Beast's Pirates after all. Gion, that's all, I can only mind if Drake comes back. Fortunately, Drake's potential is strong enough. If he stays in Marine, he can become a powerful vice admiral. But, how can we get Marshal Sengoku to agree to call Drake back? Chapter 278 Kizaru is so weird that the girls are shocked. Now that I think about it, Kizaru Porisalino's time with Sabayati Archipelago wasn't exactly a success. Closing square bracket. After all, there are 3 special beings in Supernova, Luffy, Jewelry Bonnie and Drake. Closing square bracket. If you really want to catch a fish, it has to be his performance in Summit War. Closing square bracket. Good guys, on the battlefield between Marine and the Whitebeard Pirates, Marine is the easiest among the 3 admirals. Closing square bracket. Akainu Sakazuki directly went head-to-head with Whitebeard, and in the end severely injured Whitebeard, allowing Teach to catch him and cut off Whitebeard's last breath. Closing square bracket. At the end of the defeat, Sakazuki was also badly beaten and looked quite embarrassed. Closing square bracket. Although Aokiji Kuzan's record was slightly worse than Sakazuki's, he was able to compete with Whitebeard and was beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Whitebeard Diamond Josie. Closing square bracket. Gion, Is Sakazuki so strong in Summit War? It's true, he is worthy of it. Dole, Kuzan Admiral will be beaten to vomit blood by the captain of the Whitebeard pirates. Is this true? Charlotte Garrett, looking at it this way, this Aokiji seems to be weaker than Sakazuki. Why did Josie perform so well? I don't know how I appeared in Summit War. Having said that, hateful Akainu, hateful Teach, you too, I will never bypass you. Aokiji was facing Whitebeard at the time. Josie's attack was considered a sneak attack. Kuzan did not react, which was considered normal. Closing square bracket. After all, the people he fights are the four emperors. Closing square bracket. After arriving, Kuzan was able to retaliate with his own kind. In a sudden attack, he used ice to destroy Diamond Josie's jumping arm, which was regarded as revenge. Closing square bracket. Whitebeard. Josie's arm was broken. Sure enough, I need to gain Rosen's friendship. Only in this way can the Whitebeard pirates avoid such a future. Peacock. It seems that Kuzan Admiral is quite powerful. Charlotte Garrett. Sure enough, no Marine Admiral is simple. Although Aokiji did not seriously injure Whitebeard, he easily took down the arm of Josie, the leader of the Whitebeard pirate team, who is known for his defense, which is quite impressive. Bello Betty. It's that Kizaru. It seems he didn't perform much in Summit War. Arrived at Kizaru. Good guys, after Akainu and Aokiji fought a war, they all had some injuries more or less. Closing square bracket. This guy is good, he obviously has the swordsmanship to compete with Pluton Rayleigh. 0. But he was kicked away by Marco and smashed his own defensive wall. Closing square bracket. When Luffy was about to enter the center of the dangerous battlefield, this guy kicked him back into Whitebeard's hands, which is the safest place. Closing square bracket. Tisk tisk, Luffy at this time is not the fifth emperor, even Haki doesn't understand. Closing square bracket. Kizaru wants to kill Luffy, don't make it too easy. Closing square bracket. In the end, when Luo took Luffy's stance, Aokiji used ice to freeze the sea, and the ice was about to freeze Luo's submarine. Closing square bracket. Good guy, Chuang Yuan flew directly into the air and brought an 8-foot Magatama to the sea. Closing square bracket. Forcibly smashed the ice that was about to catch up with Luo's submarine made by Aokiji. Closing square bracket. And his 8-foot Jade Magatama. No, it should be called 8-foot Jade. Not a single shot hit Luo's submarine. Closing square bracket. I don't know if this guy's observation Haki is too bad or if his observation Haki is too good. Closing square bracket. Speaking of which, is this guy trying to sell Garp's face, or is he simply a spy arranged by the Revolutionary Army and Marine? Closing square bracket. The first one kicked Luffy into Whitebeard's hand, and the second one smashed the ice that was chasing Luffy and Luo. Could it be to protect the Revolutionary Dragon's son? Closing square bracket. Tisk, tisk, this guy, after a war, he didn't suffer any injuries at all. Closing square bracket. Don't say he was injured by Zhao, this guy didn't even mess up his clothes. Tie. The ones on the opposite side are the Whitebeard pirates. After the group was defeated, they were still intact. Closing square bracket. Isn't it disrespectful to the Whitebeard pirates to say this? Female. The holders of copies of the diary were at a loss when they saw what Rosen wrote in the diary. They never expected that when Rosen saw Zephyr, he would associate Zephyr with Kizaru, who died for Zephyr. This further reminds me of Kizaru's performance in Summit War. Chapter 279 Kizaru, could he be an undercover agent of the revolutionaries? Especially after seeing Rosen's description of Kizaru as an undercover agent of the Revolutionary Army, whether it was Gion and other Marines, the pirates such as Charlotte Smoothie, or the Revolutionary Army such as Bello Betty, they all felt numb. Just kidding, that's Marine Admiral. If even Marine Admiral has undercover agents of the Revolutionary Army. I don't know how many people in Marine are undercover agents of the Revolutionary Army. Run T. Ha ha ha, it really made me laugh. Akainu and Aokiji fought to the death, and this Kizaru actually participated in the war like a salted fish. Is he still a Marine Admiral? Charlotte Smoothie. He was able to kill Luffy in an instant, but he forced Luffy into Whitebeard's hands. It's hard to say that he wasn't trying to give Garp face. Or is he really an undercover agent of the Revolutionary Army? Khalifa. Maybe, right. Dole. 237, although Porisolino usually fishes a bit, he probably doesn't have that kind of identity. Rosen is probably just complaining. At the same time, somewhere above the sea in East Blue. Gion looked at the words on the copy of the diary and frowned deeply. Observation Haki was too bad, so he didn't sense the specific location of Luo's submarine, so Hachichi Chong brushed aside. No, it was Hachichi Chong Magatama that didn't hit the submarine. Or is it because observation Haki is too good, so Porisolino's 8-foot Magatama perfectly avoided the submarine and shattered the ice at the same time? No, this should all be a coincidence. Porisolino just took a chance, so he shouldn't be an undercover agent of the Revolutionary Army. Or, he has other ideas in mind. Yes, that must be the case. In Summit War, Marine's target must be Whitebeard and Ace. When Luffy retreats, Whitebeard and Ace should be dead. This is already considered Marine's victory. If you kill Luffy at this time, although you can cut off the dragon's bloodline, it will also easily anger Vice Admiral Garp. If Vice Admiral Garp turns against it, Marine will suffer huge losses. Perhaps Porosalino took this into consideration, so he deliberately let Luffy go. Gion took a deep breath, shook his head, and decided not to think too much about it for the time being. Now, the most important thing for her is to catch Rosen. Not because of the world government's orders, but because she knew deeply that Rosen's words should not be caught now. When Rosen draws enough rewards, no matter what lineup Marine sends, they will not be Rosen's opponent. Based on Rosen's attitude towards world government, at that time, Rosen may destroy world government, and by the way, Marine, which is affiliated with world government, will also be brought to bear. Such a result is something Gion cannot accept no matter what. This is what most female Marines like Gion are thinking. That's why Gion and the other female Marines kept trying to intercept Rosen. It's just that every time, they have less chance. On the other side, Belobeti and Koala are on the boat. Should I ask Long if Kizaru is a member of our revolutionary army? Belobeti murmured to herself. At this moment, even she somewhat believed Rosen's statement. Beside her, Koala also nodded repeatedly. Like Belobeti, she also wants Kizaru to be an undercover agent of the revolutionary army. After all, this will make it much more convenient for the revolutionary army no matter what kind of actions they take in the future. Unlike the surprised girls, Ain's heart was filled with anger. Damn Kizaru, he was able to let Luffy go during the Summit War. You can also catch fish during the Sabayati archipelago. Quote. Why can't we take advantage of Mr. Zephyr? Ain clenched his fists and stared at the copy of the diary. At this moment, Ain's resentment towards Kizaru deepened. But soon, she realized that her complaints against Kizaru were not deep enough. Back to the problem of Kizaru Porosalino and his teacher Zephyr. Closing square bracket. Good guy, when Ba Kai Chong Pian Bian Yu hit Luffy, he couldn't hit even one. Closing square bracket. While fighting Whitebeard, he was also intercepted by Phoenix Marco. Closing square bracket. When fighting the red-haired man, his 8-foot Magatama was directly knocked away by the red-haired Shanks. Closing square bracket. It can be said that Kizaru's 8-foot Magatama is the ultimate move. Closing square bracket. But there are very few real hits. Closing square bracket. As a result, it was this trick when he used it on Zephyr. Closing square bracket. But it was basically a complete hit, and Zephyr's small health bar was almost bottomed out in one fell swoop. Closing square bracket. Chapter 280 Ain, you shouldn't do anything stupid, right? Zephyr, after all, is much more powerful than Luffy and Luo who have not yet grown up. Closing square bracket. But such a person cannot avoid Kizaru's 8-foot Magatama. Closing square bracket. This is enough to show that when Kizaru wants to hit someone, the 8-foot Magatama can still hit someone. Closing square bracket. Could it be that for this operation, Marshal Marine gave Kizaru enough overtime wages, so he went all out? Closing square bracket. Peacock. There is such a thing. Why did Kizaru Admiral's attack happen like this? Dole. Did that guy Porosalino really let Luffy go on purpose? Charlotte Smoothie. Haha, it's really interesting. You treat the enemy gently, but you hit the teacher hard. This Kizaru is really interesting. Widub. Could it be true that as Rosen complained, this Kizaru's work efficiency has really improved because his salary has increased? Gion. Would Porosalino fight against the red-haired Shanks? Under what circumstances did he use the 8-foot Magatama technique on Shanks? Ain. Kizaru, you damn guy, wait, what is this? Ain's eyes widened and he stared at the new content that appeared in the diary. It is said to be new content, but it is actually a video clip uploaded by Rosen. What caught Ain's attention was the name marked on the video screen, Kizaru's black arm. Kizaru, known to many as the codename of Marine Admiral Porosalino. Like Kizaru, Akainu and others, Zephyr also had a title during the period when he served as Marine Admiral. His title is Black Arm. As a disciple of Zephyr, Ain naturally knows this. Although some young female pirates didn't know it, they immediately understood that Rosen had uploaded the battle footage between Kizaru and Zephyr. And it's a video of the future scene that will lead to Zephyr's death. Ain took a few deep breaths to calm down a little, and then activated the video screen like other diary copy holders. Soon, the picture constructed by Nadao Animation appeared in front of her eyes. Although what is shown in the picture are animated characters. But Ain, who knew the characteristics of Kizaru and Zephyr, quickly knew who the characters on the screen corresponded to. At the beginning, the corresponding identities of the animated characters were not clear. We also know their identities because of the dialogue between the animated characters in the video. Farewell, Teacher Zephyr. 8-foot Magatama. Kizaru jumped up and appeared in the sky more than 10 meters high, with his hands crossed in front of him. Closing square bracket. 2 dazzling lights flashed from Kizaru's hands, and then turned into countless light bullets and fell towards Zephyr below. Closing square bracket. Translation. Although he had his hands in front of him to protect himself, he was soon hit by countless light bullets in various parts of his body. Closing square bracket. In the end, even his body was hit by many light bullets. 0. Please give me flowers. Charlotte Smoothie. Is this Kizaru's 8-foot Magatama? It's really powerful enough, and it actually brought Zephyr to this level. Charlotte Custard. Sometimes it turns into an 8-foot jade, unable to hit the enemy at all. Nico Robin. You are really merciless towards teachers. Sure enough, the only Marine Admiral who never went to Ohara turned out to be a cold-blooded creature. 0. Koala. It's so cruel, to treat the teacher like this. He can't fight at all. Dole. This. Did Zephyr really die because of Marine? Domino. Died of exhaustion. I never expected that Zephyr would end up like this. Sadie-chan. That Ain is Zephyr's disciple, right? Wouldn't she be able to stand seeing such a video? Gion. Ain won't do anything stupid, right? No, I have to remind her. Now that we know Zephyr's future, as long as we work hard, we will definitely be able to change this future. Soon, Gion found Ain's friend interface in the diary copy. However, no matter what message she sends to Ain, she never got a reply from Ain. Ain, what are you doing? Why don't you read the news? Gion frowned and murmured. Chapter 281 Crying Ain and Rosen boarding the ship. What Gion didn't know was that Ain's mind was completely blank at this moment. I just instinctively watched the scene of Kizaru and the Marines led by Kizaru fighting Zephyr over and over again. After a while, Ain's eyes shed tears unconsciously. Absolutely, I will never let something like this happen. No matter what, we must prevent this from happening. Ain clenched his fists and chanted firmly. Although Rosen once mentioned things about Kizaru and Zephyr. But there was no picture at that time. 590. Now, Rosen directly moved the picture. Although the Zephyr in the video is just an anime image. But seeing him die from exhaustion, Ain still couldn't help but feel great sadness in his heart. At this moment, Ain's original idea of borrowing Rosen's power became more and more determined. What if Rosen appeared in front of her now and invited her to become a partner? She might even agree directly. Ain, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? At this moment, Binz's voice sounded beside Ain. Ain was shocked and quickly raised his hand to wipe his cheek. No, it's nothing, Teacher Zephyr. It's just that the wind and sand confused my eyes. Ain said. Binz frowned and looked at the surrounding environment full of sea. Looking at it this way, it doesn't look like the wind and sand have blinded my eyes. But Ain didn't want to say anything, and as a partner, he didn't want to ask any more questions. Since there's nothing wrong, come over. Maybe we'll have to fight Rosen later. Teacher Zephyr asked us to discuss the battle plan. You know, in Rosen's pirate group, Rosen is not the only strong person. His partners are all quite troublesome people with some weird abilities. If we don't discuss the plan carefully, we may be in trouble. Binz said seriously. Binz is Ain's classmate and one of the only disciples who survived when Zephyr's warship was attacked by pirates. He does not have a copy of Rosen's diary like Iron does. Therefore, Binz did not know enough about Rosen. He didn't know how Rosen felt about Zephyr. He also didn't know that Rosen was not as vicious as traditional pirates. In Binz's eyes, Rosen is a purely vicious pirate. After all, if he were not a vicious pirate, how could he dare to kill celestial dragons and threaten another celestial dragons with death? This battle may threaten Zephyr's safety. Therefore, we have to pay attention to it. A plan. Ain pursed his lips, a thoughtful light flashing in his eyes. I understand, let's go to Teacher Zephyr's place now. After saying that, Ain planned to walk with Binz in the direction of Zephyr. However, as soon as she took a step, a hand was placed on her shoulder. Ain looked at the hand on his shoulder in confusion. You know, there is no one behind her. Now a hand suddenly appeared and rested on her shoulder. Hina. This is, Rosen started the live broadcast. Wait, that person is Ain, and there is Teacher Zephyr in front of him. Is Rosen on Teacher Zephyr's boat? Dole. Oops, is Rosen planning to attack France? Peacock. Rosen's current form, is he in a state of fusion with Tashigi? Domino. In other words, Rosen can now control water to fight like Arancardia. Widub. In a battle on the sea, being able to control the water flow is quite difficult for demon fruit power. Although Zephyr is not a person with abilities, as long as Rosen stirs up the sea, his subordinates will be in big trouble. 0.2 Shiarly. Rosen himself is not an Esper and can fight underwater. If Rosen uses the ability to control water flow to pull Zephyr and his team under the sea, they will be in big trouble. Kami. If I get Tia's template, can I become very powerful? After all, I can breathe underwater. As long as I pull the enemy into the water, I can make the enemy drown without even fighting. Bar. Charlotte Smoothie. The power of Arankarsh's template. Let me see how far Rosen can take advantage of this power. Chapter 282 Zephyr. Rosen, let go of my apprentice. The moment Rosen landed on Zephyr's warship, he had already turned on the video recording function. After all, this was the first time he used Tia's template to deal with a strong enemy. And the opponent is the respectable Zephyr. Naturally, he wanted to record this scene. Even if he doesn't film it as a video, he plans to record it in writing after it's over. More importantly, today's points task has not been completed yet. In order to accumulate points, he also had to turn on the video play time. Precisely because he turned on the video recording, the female Marines and female pirates were very excited. The female Marines were naturally worried that Rosen would hurt Zephyr, and would even defeat 06 Zephyr and escape before Garp arrived. Most of the female pirates want to see Tia's true power. Especially Charlotte Smoothie. Even now, Charlotte Smoothie is still obsessed with Tia's template. Naturally, I am also very curious about the power that Tia's template can really show when used. Although Tashigi will become stronger and stronger because of Rosen's relationship. But in Charlotte Smoothie's opinion, Tashigi still has a long way to go before he becomes strong enough to use Tia's template well. In a short period of time, Wei will see the true power of Tia template. It's still when Rosen uses the power of fusion on Tashigi. But before, Charlotte Smoothie never had this opportunity. Now that she had finally waited for this opportunity, she naturally had no intention of missing it. Could it be that it's Luo Jing? Ain's eyes widened and he thought to himself. Ain, what's wrong with you? Wait, who are you? Bins noticed that Ain did not keep up with him, turned around to ask Ain, and saw a man wearing a white robe with blonde hair standing behind Rosen, half of his face covered by a long collar. Man. In an instant, Bins became alert. After all, there was no such person on Zephyr's warship from beginning to end. The person standing behind Ain is naturally Rosen himself. Although Rosen's photos have been circulated in Marine. But because half of Rosen's face was obscured by the collar, Bins did not recognize Rosen. Rosen raised the corner of his mouth, raised his hand and pulled down the collar of his collar, revealing his chin that was obscured by the bone gap. Aren't you looking for Rosen? I am. Rosen said with a chuckle and glanced at Ain, who was trembling a little. He only thought that Ain was trembling because of fear, and had no idea that Ain was trembling because of excessive excitement. What, Rosen? Bins's eyes widened and he immediately held out the sword behind his back. His voice also attracted the attention of Zephyr and other Marines. After seeing Ain being held hostage, Zephyr's face became extremely ugly. Are you Rosen? Zephyr strode forward, quickly walked to Bins's side, frowned and said to Rosen. Because Rosen had iron in his hand, he did not attack Rosen directly. At the same time, his eyes scanned Rosen's face. However, half of Rosen's face was covered by a bone mask, and there was a big gap between Rosen's temperament at the moment and the intelligence description about Rosen. For a moment, Zephyr was not sure that the person in front of him was Rosen. Yes, it's me. Rosen nodded slightly and smiled. Tashigi once dressed up like this in Logue Town. If you Marines knew my abilities, you would know that the person standing in front of you at 950 is Rosen. Upon hearing this, Zephyr immediately recalled the information about Tashigi in Logue Town. When Tashigi fought Smoker, what he was wearing was indeed very similar to Rosen's clothes at the moment. Although there is no bone mask covering half of the face, the two are indeed very similar. Rosen, is this a fusion with Tashigi? Sure enough, Tashigi also possesses some kind of devil fruit power. Now that Rosen has merged with Tashigi, do you want to use this power? Did Rosen give Tashigi's devil fruit power to her? Zephyr was thinking in his mind, but he shouted angrily at Rosen. Rosen, what are you doing here? Let go of my disciple. Chapter 283 The Fusion of Tashigi and Rosen, Zephyr Martial Law. Although he was not sure that the person in front of him was Rosen, this did not hinder Zephyr from wanting to rescue his disciple. What am I doing here? That's a good question, Zephyr. Aren't you trying to block me? There is no way, in order to enter the Grand Line smoothly. I can only come here first to open up the shipping route. Rosen shrugged and said with a smile. He had heard the conversation between Bins and Ain just now. Naturally, Zephyr came to bet on himself. In this case, he naturally has no reason not to take action. Sure enough, after hearing Rosen's words, Zephyr's brows furrowed even more. So, you plan to use Ain to get me to let you go? Zephyr asked. Use Ain. Rosen glanced at Ain, who was holding his shoulders. No, I think you made a mistake. We need to open up shipping routes. I don't need to hold her hostage to hold you hostage. If you are unwilling to get out of the way. Zephyr, I don't mind using my power to get you out of the way. After Rosen finished speaking, he took the initiative to lift Ain and threw her in the direction of Zephyr. Ain was so surprised that he quickly turned around and stabilized his body to prevent himself from falling to the ground. Zephyr, Bins, Shuzo and others were instantly relieved when they saw Ain landing safely. At this time, other Marines finally dared to raise their guns and aim at Rosen. Needless to say, Shuzo, Zephyr's right-hand man, directly attacked Rosen. Shave. Finger pistol. Shuzo groaned, and his body turned into an afterimage and flew towards Rosen. However, what he thought was his unparalleled speed was as slow as a snail in Rosen's eyes. It's so slow. Rosen muttered, quickly pulled out Tia's dagger from behind his waist and pointed it in Shuzo's direction. Immediately afterwards, a red light shone on the tip of the knife. Kang's sword cannon. How does the golden light appear? It flew towards Shuzo at an unparalleled speed, and just missed Shuzo's finger pistol passing by him. Shuzo only felt that his fingers and the skin of his arm had been cut through a layer of skin by the golden light bullet. Suddenly, a sharp pain hit Shuzo's heart. This is not over yet. With a loud bang, Shuzo and the other Marines discovered that the attack previously released by Rosen had just hit the pole of the Marine warship. With a huge sound, the ship's pole was instantly cut into two pieces by Rosen's energy, and fell toward the sea. This trick is the same as the one used by Tashigi in the intelligence. Sure enough, you are Rosen. Tashigi is inside you right now, right, Rosen? Zephyr saw everything and said to Rosen seriously. When he was in Logue Town, Tashigi showed off the move, Blue Sword Cannon. At that time, another of his disciples, Smoker, was made quite uncomfortable by this move. Therefore, in the information about Tashigi, Smoker focused on describing this ability. At this moment, I saw the man in front of me using this power. Zephyr was finally convinced that the man in front of him was Rosen after fusion with Tashigi. Zephyr felt that the reason why he was different from the original Rosen at this moment was precisely because Rosen used his ability, so his image changed. As I said before, I'm Rosen. It's just that you're not sure. Rosen's index finger passed through the circle at the end of the short sword's handle. He turned his hand to break the blade and said goodbye to Zephyr. Zephyr frowned and looked at the completely broken boat pole Noma Jiao. By destroying the pole of the ship, you will destroy our hope of catching up with your ship. Your people should be around here too. It seems that if we want to catch the others, we must keep you here now. The ship's pole has been destroyed, no matter how fast the marine warship is. It was impossible to catch up with Rosen Senya. Taking advantage of this time period, Rosen's partners can completely bypass the marine warship and go to the entrance of Upside Down Mountain. And Rosen, with the ability to fly, can reach the other side of Upside Down Mountain without taking a boat. Chapter 284 The battle begins, Zephyr's surprise attack. In Zephyr's view, Rosen is all about creating opportunities for his partners to go to the first half of the Grand Line. As for him staying at this moment, it is also to prevent Zephyr and his party from pursuing the Xenia. If Rosen hadn't left for a moment, Marine would have had no chance to repair the pole. Naturally, there was no chance to find the Xenia. Although Zephyr can also use Moonwalk Light Garp to directly find trouble with Rosen's companions on the Xenia. But the prerequisite is to find the Xenia number first. Otherwise, using Moonwalk in the vast sea is not a good thing. Once he exerts too much force, by the time he actually finds Rosen's partner, he may be too tired to keep Rosen's partner. At this moment, Zephyr vaguely felt that Rosen might have realized that there was no way to defeat him, so he took this approach. If not, he could simply crush them with 780 force. Could it be that Rosen was actually injured in the last battle with Hawkeye? Or is it that his inexplicable ability to restore physical strength through transformation cannot be used now? Zephyr thought in his mind. The most troublesome ability of Rosen is the reset ability he showed when fighting Hawkeye. It's clear that Hawkeye has already caused damage to Rosen. But every time Rosen transforms, his injuries heal. In Marine-related meetings, Marine specifically discussed this capability. Although this ability is dangerous, Marine still feels that Rosen cannot use this ability unlimitedly. Otherwise, Rosen might have been invincible long ago. When he AGDC met Garp, he would not choose to avoid confrontation with Garp. He could have beaten Garp directly. This is consistent with his identity as a vicious pirate. Now Rosen's performance makes Zephyr more convinced of this. If Rosen knew what Zephyr was thinking, he would laugh out loud. He really can't reset his injuries like he did when he fought Mahawk at the sea restaurant. After all, does he have no rewards like template challenge cards now? But that doesn't mean he's afraid of Zephyr. Even if he is alone, he is confident that he can beat Zephyr. Not to mention, Zephyr also has companions by his side. Although the presence of companions can help Zephyr, this is without facing a powerful enemy. And now their enemy is Rosen. The existence of Zephyr's friends not only cannot help Zephyr, but can even hinder Zephyr. Among these people, there is not even a naval headquarters vice admiral. Rosen only needs one conqueror's haki to completely suppress them. Of course, he can also choose to use Reiatsu. The Reiatsu he can develop after merging with Tashigi will never be lower than his high-level conqueror's haki. This kind of power that directly shocks the soul is enough for Jifu's friends to eat a pot. Even more, Rosen doesn't need to use the power of Conqueror's Haki or Reiatsu. You know, Shukei has the characteristic of copper skin. Copper skin can provide powerful defense. As the third-ranked Arankar, Tia's bronze skin level is naturally higher than that of ordinary hollows. Of all Zephyr's friends, Rosen feels that he might just need to be careful with Ain's Devil Fruit ability. With the strength of other people, he can even rely on copper skin to defend. Stop joking, Zephyr. If you think you can stop me, you can give it a try. But before that, I still give you a piece of advice. Don't stand in my way. I don't have any bad feelings towards you. 1 inch. If you are willing to leave right now, I won't take action against you. Rosen chuckled twice and said to Zephyr. HMPH, do you think I will listen to a pirate like you? Zephyr snorted and directly rejected Rosen's proposal. Just kidding, what Zephyr hates most in his life is pirates. Although Rosen has not hurt Pingming yet. But that didn't stop him from hating Rosen. Seeing that negotiation was useless, Zephyr decisively chose to attack. Fire. Following Zephyr's command, the Marines, guns and artillery pointed at Rosen instantly emitted a string of sparks. Boom boom boom. Along with bursts of roar, a large number of bullets and artillery shells were fired at Rosen. Chapter 285 Zephyr has Tashigi, who just joined Rosen, learned conquerors. Ain wanted to stop it, but there was nothing he could do. Rosen shook his head slightly and turned his attention to Tashigi, who was completely naked inside. Tashigi, watch me use Tia's power. It might be useful to you. When Tashigi heard this, he immediately became attentive. Although she can see some of Tia's combat experience through Tia's template. But it's one thing to see combat experience, and it's another thing to experience an actual battle with Rosen. Since there is an opportunity to improve the surprise in battle, Tashigi will not let it go. Faced with a large amount of ammunition, Rosen did not dodge or evade, letting the bullets fall on his body. Suddenly, Rosen was surrounded by smoke and dust from the explosion. You don't hide. And you don't even use armament hockey. And you won't make any defensive moves. Zephyr's eyes flashed with observation hockey's light, and his brows furrowed. After using observation hockey, he could naturally see that Rosen had not been harmed in any way. The previous ammunition didn't even leave a scratch on Rosen's skin. Of course, the same goes for clothes. At this moment, Rosen is under Tia's mode through the mode of fusion with Tashigi. The clothes were naturally the same as Tia was wearing. Although this is not a piece of equipment with very strong defense. But some small bullets and cannonballs are naturally impossible to damage Tia's suit. Sure enough, after the smoke cleared, Zephyr saw Rosen, who was intact and even raising his hand to gently pat the dust on his body. The Marines, who originally thought their attack had worked, were stunned for a moment. That's it. It seems that Marines' ammunition is nothing special. In fact, even my copper skin has not been broken. That's right, after all, my copper skin is much more advanced than your iron body. Rosen patted the smoke dust on his collar and said to the sailors with a sneer. Damn it, keep firing. The sailors couldn't stand Rosen's arrogance. They raised their guns and planned to give Rosen another shot. By now, they also know that ordinary bullets may not have any effect on Rosen. But they believe that these bullets can at least consume Rosen's power and help the Holy Law defeat Rosen. However, before everyone had time to pull the trigger, they felt a strong pressure suddenly falling from the sky. This strong pressure seemed to be pressing on their souls, making them unable to even breathe. In less than a second, all the sailors except Ain, Binz, Shuzo and Zephyr were suppressed and lay on the deck, unable to move. This is still Rosen's Reiatsu that he hasn't fully developed yet. If he fully deploys Reiatsu, let alone these ordinary Marines. Even Zephyr's powerful soldiers Shuzo, Binz and Ain had to lie down on the ground. Zero, please give me flowers. Although they won't faint, the three of them will suffer considerable physical and mental harm. Although Reiatsu does not have the powerful hypnosis function like Conqueror's Haki. But it can cause permanent mental damage to a person. If a person is oppressed by the powerful Reiatsu for too long, a person may have mental problems. In other words, it is mental illness. This is Conqueror's Haki. Shuzo's eyes widened and he looked around in shock. Zero. It's a little weird, not like a normal Conqueror's Haki. Could it be that it's another way of using Conqueror's Haki? No, this isn't Conqueror's Haki at all. This should be Tashigi's fruit ability, right, Rosen? Zephyr is well informed and can naturally see the difference between the power Rosen is using at this moment and Conqueror's Haki. If Rosen was using Conqueror's Haki, black and red lightning would have already appeared around him at this moment. And although the pressure of the power used by Rosen now is equally powerful, it is still fundamentally different from Conqueror's Haki. Zephyr can feel this. Thinking of the power Tashigi once showed in Logue Town. Zephyr instantly summarized it as Tashigi's devil fruit power. Although Smoker claimed that Tashigi awakened Conqueror's Haki. But Zephyr had doubts about this. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 286 You can't catch people just by relying on your passion. After all, the conditions for awakening Conqueror's Haki are particularly demanding. Sometimes, we even need to face huge crises. Although Tashigi was caught by Rosen, he was not really in danger of his life. Even if she has potential, the probability of awakening Conqueror's Haki is low. On the contrary, if the devil fruit given to Tashigi by Rosen had a power similar to Conqueror's Haki's oppressive power. It all makes sense. Ain smiled bitterly. She knew that Rosen was not actually a person with abilities. It's just that she couldn't find a chance to talk to Zephyr about this kind of 657 words. If she really said it, there would be no way to explain it to Zephyr. Fruit ability. Rosen raised his eyebrows and looked at Fa in surprise. But soon, he understood. Interesting, it seems that the marine people really mistook my partner's special powers for devil fruit's powers. Single quote. Even in their eyes, I am demon fruit power. Single quote. No wonder Zephyr is confident to take me down. Quote. He probably thinks that the mechanical arm containing sea stone hidden in his hand can have an effect on me. Rosen thought to himself. Realizing that Zephyr thought so, Rosen didn't intend to expose it. Let them think that they and the rest of the Flame Blade pirates are demon fruit power. After all, in this way, maybe he can get through Marine's misunderstanding and gain an advantage in future collisions with Marine. Just think about the time when Marine or the people from the world government used sea stone to control them and showed a satisfied smile, and when he and his companions on the Xenia were completely unaffected by the sea stone's image, the people from Marine and the world government would smile. With an expression on his face, Rosen felt a surge of anticipation in his heart. Of course, if you can. Rosen doesn't really hope that the day will come when he and his friends are controlled by the local sea stone. After all, when such a day appears, it may mean that they have encountered a powerful enemy. Yes, this is indeed the power of devil fruit. How's it going? It feels okay, Tufa. How about I increase my intensity? Do you want the remaining 3 people around you to get down too? Rosen nodded without hesitation and said. Seeing this, Ain even smiled bitterly. Rosen deceived his teacher that his powers were derived from the devil fruit. Because Rosen seems to be planning to use Reiatsu to directly control her. If he was really controlled, Ain felt that he might not be able to find a chance to sneak into Rosen's team. HMPH, don't underestimate me, Rosen. Do you think you can control me with your abilities? Tempest Kick. When Shuzo heard that Rosen planned to use the same ability to make him lie down, he immediately felt sulky in his heart. Then, he directly attacked Rosen. Reminds me of the scene where I was blasted by Rosen using the finger pistol. This time he directly chose to use a long-range attack like Tempest Kick. As Shuzo quickly cut through the air with a backspin kick, a powerful flying slash flew towards Rosen. However, in the face of such an attack, Rosen still chose not to dodge or evade, and directly raised his hand to catch it with the back of his hand. How come? Shuzo's eyes widened when he saw that his attack was ineffective. I said, you are too weak. Not even my copper skin's defense can be broken. That's it, how can you fight with me? Rosen shook his head and said with emotion. You can't catch people just by relying on your passion. Hateful. Shuzo cursed angrily and continued to attack Rosen. At this moment, Rosen's body turned into an afterimage and rushed towards Shuzo. Shuzo instinctively felt the crisis of 5.2, and then subconsciously used Iron Body. Iron Body. Boom. Rosen punched Shuzo directly in the abdomen. Suddenly, his body flew out upside down, knocking off part of the boat pole that had been broken into pieces again. Shuzo. Binzi hurriedly ran to Shuzo, only to see Shuzo coughing up blood and trying to get up in pain. However, no matter how hard he tried, his hands and feet seemed like they were not his own and he couldn't move properly. Chapter 287. You Iron Body are too confident. What a confident Iron Body. But facing a truly strong person, this trick is of no use at all. Unless your Iron Body can be as hard as my copper skin. Otherwise, you should go practice armament hockey. Just relying on Iron Body, you will be defeated like this every time, Shuzo. Rosen blew into the fist that he used to attack Shuzo before and said to Shuzo mockingly. Hearing this, Shuzo became even more angry, and then he spit out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Shuzo. Binz shook Shuzo, but got no response. He turned his head to look at Zephyr with an ugly expression and said. Teacher Zephyr, Zuo fainted. Zephyr nodded upon hearing this. He saw everything that happened before. He knew that 06 Shuzo was no match for Rosen, but he never thought that Shuzo would be defeated by Rosen so easily. And this was before Rosen showed his miraculous sword-related abilities, defeating the Golden Lion and the world's greatest swordsman, Mihawk, respectively. Could it be said that Inseki's power is not a sword? So after the fusion of Rosen and Tashigi, the strongest power is not in the sword, but in the fruit. The sword on his back is just decoration. Zephyr thought of the information about the battle between Rosen and Hawkeye, one of which was about the abilities displayed by Rosen and Nami after they merged into one person. At that time, what Rosen demonstrated was Nami's power to control lightning. It's not Rosen's power that can create swords. Now that Rosen and Tashigi are in a combined state, what is naturally revealed is Tashigi's fruit power. As for the Wushan knife, used by Rosen and Nami to fuse, Zephyr doesn't attribute it to Devil Fruit's power. Wu Zhang's sword is nothing more than a trick. Since Nami can use this move, then Rosen, as Nami's captain and guide, can naturally use this move. Rosen is now the world's greatest swordsman. It's not surprising to be able to use one or two powerful sword skills. However, although it is inferred that Tashigi's current power is not mainly reflected in the convenience of swordsmanship. But Jinbei still won't let down his guard against the short sword behind Rosen. Even in the fused state, Rosen cannot use his original ability to create swords. But he is still the world's best swordsman after all. On the contrary, Zephyr was even more wary. After all, it seems that at least Rosen, who is currently in the state of fusion with Tashigi, is good at more than just sword power. He is also good at unarmed combat. I admit I underestimate you, but don't think you can get away with it, Rosen. Zephyr took off the cloak behind him, took 2 steps forward and said to Rosen. Even Shuzo was defeated so quickly, Zephyr had no choice but to go up on his own. Of course, he also retains confidence in stopping Rosen. After all, as long as he delays Zephyr's arrival, victory will still belong to them. Teacher Zephyr, we are here to help too. Bin said, planning to step forward and help Zephyr fight with Ain. However, before he could take a step, he felt a stronger pressure falling on his shoulders. Binz, who had no reaction, was directly pressed and fell to the deck, unable to move at all. Rosen, what did you do? Seeing his beloved disciple's behavior, Zephyr immediately scolded Rosen. It just increases the output of the ability 983. I think it's better for those who overestimate their own abilities to step aside. To prevent unnecessary damage, what do you think, Zephyr? Rosen, who increased the output of Reiatsu against Binz, raised the corner of his mouth and said with a chuckle. Then, he glanced at Ain again and smiled gently at her. At this moment, she is the only person on Zephyr's warship who can still stand besides Zephyr. Originally, Rosen planned to use Reiatsu to suppress Binz and Ain together. However, considering that this was once his heroine, Rosen did not directly cover her body with the stronger Reiatsu. He planned to give Ain a chance first. If Ain couldn't control it, he would have no choice but to let her join the same camp as Bozy. Such a scene naturally fell into the eyes of other diary copy holders. Chapter 288 Stubborn Zephyr, you won't have any support, right? Ain, you step back. Zephyr said to Ain with a serious face. Teacher Zephyr, Ain looked at Zephyr, trying to persuade Zephyr not to fight Rosen. Although she knew that Zephyr was powerful enough. But what she knows better is that the law is no match for Rosen. Even Rosen's practice in hockey has not yet reached its peak. But the power brought by the character template is enough for Rosen to travel across the sea and defeat Zephyr. Especially since Rosen is still using the power of Arancardia. The power of Tia, who can control the water flow, is too great in naval battles. Having said that, I saw Fa's expression. Ain could only choose to step aside. Secretly waiting and thinking about ways to avoid this battle from continuing. Rosen watched Ain step aside. He nodded with great satisfaction. Ain is so knowledgeable. He doesn't have to attack his former heroine anymore. Suddenly, a strong wind passed by quickly. In a blink of an eye, he was in front of Rosen. Rosen looked up. The visitor is none other than someone else. It's Zephyr wielding a giant iron fist. Boom. Rosen raised his hand Zanpakuto to block Zephyr's iron fist, immediately triggering a violent explosion. The sheer power actually made the huge marine warship tremble. You are really decisive, Lord Zephyr. Aren't you worried that doing this will hurt your subordinates? Rosen raised the corner of his mouth and looked at Binz and other sailors who were blown away by the strong wind. Although with the help of Ain, these people who were blown away quickly stabilized. But bumps are definitely inevitable. That's why I have to kick you out of my marine warship. Zephyr shouted sharply, and the strength in his hand increased instantly. He wants to push Rosen off his marine warship. This way you can avoid accidentally injuring the soldiers you brought in battle. Once upon a time, he fought on the marine warship, which resulted in almost all of his disciples being killed by Whitebeard too. Now facing a strong enemy like Rosen, Zephyr doesn't want to make the same mistakes as before. However, Zephyr soon discovered. No matter how much strength you increase, Rosen's figure didn't move at all. How is it possible? Why do you have such great power? Zephyr asked as he looked at Rosen in amazement. Why? Probably because I pay attention to fitness. Rosen raised the corner of his mouth, and a red light suddenly flashed on the blade in his hand that was blocking Zephyr's iron fist. Open black lens bracket. Pure Reiatsu gathers on the Rosen blade. Soon, a sphere shining with strong light and condensing huge energy was formed. This is. A bad premonition flashed through Zephyr's heart. He instinctively wanted to destroy the energy ball. However, he didn't have time to act. The energy of the sphere suddenly exploded. Sero. Accompanied by a muffled sound. The energy sphere turned into a red energy beam and directly swallowed Zephyr's figure. And quickly shot into the distance. Teacher Zephyr. Ain shouted worriedly. Don't worry, he is a former Marine Admiral after all. It won't happen that easily. Rosen smiled at Ain, jumped up and chased Zephyr, who was being carried away by Sero. After Zephyr was carried by Sero's light and flew a few dozen meters away, he escaped smoothly. He worriedly used Moonwalk to get back his marine warship. Lest Rosen harm his students. However, it hasn't jumped more than a few meters. Then he saw Rosen standing upright in the air dozens of meters away from him. Looking at him from a distance. Zephyr's eyes narrowed, and observation hockey passed by his marine warship. After seeing that the auras of Ain, Binz and others on the warship were relatively stable. Lee's good. He breathed a sigh of relief. Zephyr, it's time to get out of the way. It won't do you any good to continue fighting. Rosen laughed. Even so, I still have to keep you alive. Zephyr put on a fighting stance and looked at Rosen solemnly. He understands that his own strength makes it difficult for Rosen to stay. But just intercept Rosen. Wait until Garp arrives. Victory in this battle belongs to them. You're really stubborn. Will there be any support after this? Rosen asked. Chapter 289 Taste the feeling of being bitten by a shark, Zephyr. HMPH, I can keep you here alone. Haha, stop pretending, you should know very well that your strength is not enough, Zephyr. Whether it's enough or not, you have to give it a try. The words fell. Zephyr thought about Rosen again and rushed over. It's better to end this battle as soon as possible. Rosen shook his head. He suddenly raised the sharp blade in his hand. Although Zephyr said nothing, but I think of Gion and Garp who have appeared in East Blue. Rosen probably guessed that Zephyr was probably buying time for Garp and Gion to arrive. If it were just Gion, this would be nothing. After all, he still has partners who can help. But what if it was Garp, the marine hero? Things may get a little troublesome. Unfortunately, Rosen himself doesn't like trouble. So, the battle is almost over. The next moment, a bowing Reiatsu leaned out from his body. Zephyr, who was just thinking about Rosen rushing towards him, froze in his steps and quickly used moonwalk to stop himself. What's this? Stronger conquerors. Zephyr felt the pressure on his body and was extremely surprised when he saw the sea water beginning to boil due to the Reiatsu on Rosen's body. Not conquerors. Reiatsu only. In addition, you are the first person to see me using this power in the outside world. Be proud, Zephyr. Rosen's eyes narrowed. Golden light erupted from his body. Conquer him, Queen Zhao. Buzz. Pure Reiatsu covered Rosen's entire body. From the outside, Rosen is completely invisible. Suddenly, a broad blade cut out of the energy surrounding Rosen. As the sharp blade moves downwards, the energy turned into blue-white water and fell downwards. Rosen's figure also appeared in front of Zephyr again at the same time. Charlotte Smoothie. Here we go, Rosen is about to show off the power of the blade. Black Maria. Rosen had the upper hand before, and it's hard to imagine Zephyr being able to defeat Rosen in his current form. Kim Rami. Arankar's return blade can also control seawater. Will this power finally be revealed to the world? Boa Hancock. The powerful power that can control water flow is a threat to all demon fruit powers. Stussy. Once Rosen's power is exposed, many people who have eaten the devil fruit will want to get rid of Rosen as a threat. Violet. It's a pity that with Rosen's current strength, there are only a handful of people who can take him down. Baccarat. As time goes by, Rosen will become stronger and stronger, and by then he will become an object of awe and fear for all people with abilities. Vivi. Maybe this power can be used to help Alabasta bring rain. It would be great if I could have this power. Sadi Chan. Rosen is ready to end the battle. Can Vice Admiral Garp come over in time? Gion. It's troublesome. The mask that originally covered half of Rosen's face had dissipated. On him, only a little bit of the white bone mask remains on the neck. The dark blue lightning stripes on both sides of the cheeks. It adds a coldness to Rosen. Original white trousers. It has also been transformed into a battle skirt of bone armor. The most striking thing is that the double-edged dagger in Rosen's hand has been transformed from a slender short blade to a hollow broad blade. Zephyr watched the scene. His brows furrowed tightly. Transformed. Is a new mode enabled? No, this guy looks similar now to before. In other words, is this an advanced version of the previous mode? Zephyr stretched his huge mechanical arm in front of him while vigilantly looking for Rosen's flaws. At this moment, Rosen suddenly raised his double-edged sword high. Taste what it feels like to be bitten by a shark, Zephyr. Trident. Rosen suddenly swung his dagger. The high-pressure water mist turned into pure slashes and quickly pounced on Zephyr. So fast. A red light flashed in Zephyr's eyes. Even with Haki's knowledge, he could only barely raise his right arm to block the attack. Chapter 290 Zephyr is defeated. How should Ain make a decision? When the attack is over, Zephyr was surprised to find a huge slash mark on his indestructible mechanical arm. Click. There was a crisp sound. There was a huge crack in the huge metal arm. It was about to break into pieces. How can it be? This is Vegapunk's robotic arm made of the hardest material. Zephyr exclaimed. Nothing is impossible. A shark's blow can crush a whale. Of course I can bite your huge mechanical arm into pieces. Try this again, Zephyr. Zan Shizuku. Rosen said, waving the weapon in his hand again. The sharp blade in his hand had lines like shark gills and water spurted out. Then it flew out quickly like a cannonball and hit Zephyr. Zephyr hurriedly stopped it with his robotic arm. But it also caused the cracks on the mechanical arm to get bigger and bigger. Suddenly, there was a click. The mechanical arm finally broke. The power to control water flow. Zephyr was even more surprised. He also understands what the power of controlling water means in this world. Yes, the power I control now can indeed control water. Zephyr, how are you going to block this attack now that you have no weapons? Broken waterfall. Rosen could feel the Tashigi inside him reaching its limit. Therefore, I directly chose to use the strongest skills that the current Tia template can display. Rosen was seen raising the sharp blade in his hand. A large amount of water flew out of its sword body. Not only that, the sea below also suddenly became restless. A huge water column rose into the sky from the sea. Mixed with the water flowing out of Rosen's sword. It forms a huge water column that covers the sky and the sun, like a flowing mountain. How is it possible that you can control so much water? Zephyr's eyes widened, and the bad feeling in his heart became even more serious. However, as a former Marine Admiral, he calmed down quickly. So what if you can control the sea water? I'm not a capable person. Watch me blast the sea water you control to pieces. Zephyr wrapped armament hockey around his fists and rushed towards Rosen. Please don't underestimate the water flow I control. Otherwise, I will be in a lot of trouble. Rosen raised the blade and pointed it at Zephyr. The huge water column seemed to be alive, crashing into Zephyr like a real shark. Zephyr was not afraid, and punched the water column with both fists. In his thoughts, the weak flow of water was when his fists collided. They should have scattered in all directions. But in fact it is. His fists did not block the water column for a moment. Then his whole body was hit hard by the huge water column and hit the sea. Zero, please give me flowers. Not only that, Zephyr felt an extremely corrosive force pouring into his body, severely destroying cells everywhere in his body. Although Zephyr was determined to break the situation with both fists. But this time, a huge water column burst out of the sea surface again. Just in time with the water column pressing Zephyr above, Zephyr was squeezed together hard. For a moment, a huge pain hit Zephyr's whole body. Due to the brain's self-protection, Zephyr fell into a coma for a moment. Charlotte Garrett, so strong. Even though I already know that Tia has this power, seeing Rosen use this power is still scary. Dole, Zephyr, have you been defeated? Black Maria, it's really awesome. Even a character like Zephyr can suppress him. Domino, Zephyr is not a Esper. Even with this ending, what if a Esper fought against Rosen? Wouldn't that mean he would lose directly? Runti, how can there be such power? This is too foul for a person with abilities. Baccarat, as expected, Rosen is the future. I really want to meet you soon, Luo Ni. Hina, if Zephyr is defeated, I don't know what decision Ain will make. Forget it, I'd better mind my own business now. Skylark, Ion has just seen Zephyr's future, won't she leave Marine because of this future? Gion, it seems we have to contact Ain. Chapter 291 Ain, please take me away. Aboard the Gion Marine warship. Gion looked at the live video recording that had been ended by Rosen. Immediately used the diary copy to find Ain in the friends column. When there is no way to see the situation at the scene through the diary, she could only hope that Ain could send back relevant information. And I hope I can stop Ain from doing stupid things. However, things did not develop in the direction Gion wanted after all. The message she sent to Ain did not receive any reply. Do you really want to leave Marine, Ain? Gion, 990, frowned tightly. How do you feel, Tashigi? Rosen turned off the instant recording function of the diary system. He looked at the weak Tashigi with concern. Just before. Tashigi has no way to continue to maintain the fusion state. As a last resort, Rosen could only release the fusion state with Tashigi. No, it's okay. I'm just a little weak temporarily. Tashigi lay on Rosen's back and whispered. Then, she looked down at Zephyr floating on the sea and said. Rosen, can you rescue Zephyr? I know this may be too much to ask. But he was a good man and I wouldn't want him to die here if I could. After saying that, Tashigi looked at Rosen nervously. No problem, Insichi. Rosen said, turning his steps and quickly rushing towards Zephyr. He actually admires Zephyr. Now there's Tashigi's request. Naturally, he would not ignore death. After a while. Rosen has already carried Zephyr back to the marine warship. Teacher Zephyr. Ain saw Zephyr being placed casually on the deck by Rosen. He ran over worriedly. Tashigi leaned on Rosen's back and looked at Ain in front of him with some embarrassment. Once upon a time, she and Ain were in the same group. As a result, now that we meet, she is not only in the same group as Ain. He even helped Rosen beat up Ain's teacher. For a moment, Tashigi didn't know how to face Ain. But soon, Yinsichi changed into a hair tie and she was completely worried. Ain himself wanted to join Rosen's team. Now it's confirmed that Zephyr is fine. Naturally, she doesn't blame Tashigi in her heart. Don't even blame Rosen. I saw Ain walking in front of Rosen. He said to Rosen anxiously and expectantly. Sir Rosen, please don't hurt Teacher Zephyr. As long as you don't hurt Mr. Zephyr, you can take me away and become your hostage. After hearing this, Rosen, who had just planned to leave and return to his ship, was a little stunned. I don't think I have any intention of harming Zephyr. Rosen muttered in his mind. At this moment, Ain took another step forward. He directly held Rosen's hand in his arms. Please, don't hurt Teacher Zephyr. Whether it's making a fire and cooking, it's better to do laundry and cleaning. Or massage and bathe, I can do that. If you want, I can even warm your bed. So, please take me away. Although saying these words made Ain blush a little. But this little shyness was far outweighed by the desire for power in her heart. It's no wonder, considering that she just saw the scene of Kizaru killing Zephyr from Rosen's diary. In such a situation, as long as the power to protect Zephyr can be obtained, sacrificing himself is no longer a big deal to Ain. What's going on? Rosen scratched the back of his head and looked back at Tashigi. I don't know either. Tashigi said so. But she soon figured out why Ain did what he did. At this moment, Ain was still thinking about her look asking for help. Apparently, he wanted to ask Da 4.6 Siki, who had joined the Rosen pirates first, to help get Ain to join. Tashigi was a little embarrassed. At this time, she couldn't get Rosen to nod. Ahem, although what you mentioned about warming the bed is very interesting to me. But I think you misunderstood. I have no intention of killing Zephyr. He's just passed out now. Wait for a while and you should be able to wake up. Okay, let go, I have to leave. I just had a battle and my shoulders are a little sore. I have to go back and rest. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 292 If you can dance, just follow me, Ain. Previous battle. Although Rosen's consumption is not as severe as Tashigi's. But those last two moves were able to knock Zephyr out directly. It did consume a lot of his energy. At this time, even an enemy of Gion's level. It's hard for Rosen to guarantee that he can beat her. Rosen felt that it was better for him to leave here quickly. No, I won't let go. After I let go, you will definitely take action against Teacher Zephyr. Unless you promise to take me with you, I will never let you go. Ain tightly held Rosen's hand in his arms. Completely ignoring that his chest 06 had been squeezed and deformed by Rosen's arm due to his own strength. Miss Marine, I already told you that I have no plans to take action against Zephyr. Why don't you believe it? Also, could you be a little more reserved? Don't you know that your behavior is a great test for veteran cadres? There was a black line on Rosen's forehead, and the arm held by Ain twisted slightly. If only he hadn't put his other hand on Tashigi's buttocks to prevent her from falling off his back. Otherwise, Rosen would have to use his other hand to show Ain what the grabbing hand is. So that Ain could let go of the arm holding him out of shyness. However, Rosen apparently underestimated Ain's decision. Even when Rosen twisted his arm, Iron's breasts were twisted slightly out of shape. Even though Ain's face was already blushing even more. She still didn't let go of Rosen's arm. You girl, why are you so persistent? I already said I won't take action against Zephyr. If you're like this, I'll knock you out. Rosen said with a dark look on his face. Ain couldn't help but feel nervous when he heard that Rosen was about to knock him out. He quickly cast his help-seeking glance at Tashigi again. The corners of Tashigi's mouth twitched involuntarily. Even so, she still spoke. Captain Rosen, how about we take her with us? We might encounter Marine's enemies on the way. As long as Ain is here, you can count as having a hostage in hand. Besides, didn't she say she could even warm your bed? In this case, she must be willing to let you take advantage of it. Just like what you did to me and Hina. Tashigi said quietly. She also knew that Rosen wasn't the type to force someone to have a relationship with her. Unless both parties are in love. Only if. It smells the way it should when you roll the sheets. Just like Tashigi himself now. These are Rosen's original words. Therefore, Ain's so-called warm bed was not very attractive to Rosen. After all, even Ain himself was not sure whether he really wanted to warm Rosen's bed. In comparison, some small bargains may be more attractive to Rosen. After all, Rosen still doesn't mind doing things like taking advantage. Tashigi spoke softly though, but because of the distance. Ain still heard it very clearly. She nodded quickly to Rosen, confirming Tashigi's statement. A hostage. And, taking advantage or something. Rosen touched his chin and looked up and down at Ain in front of him. Can you dance, Miss Marine? 210. Yes, I know a little. In that case, can you dance Gangwon dance? Well, I probably can. Where's Yanwu? That, I can learn. Remember what you said, and don't go back on it when the time comes. Rosen raised the corner of his mouth and forced his hand away from Ain's arms. Then he held Ain's back collar with one hand and leapt towards his pirate ship. Wait, what do you want to do to Ain? Asshole, let me go. At this time, Binz, who had just been stunned by Reiatsu, woke up and turned around. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw Rosen leaving with Ain and Tashigi. Binz, tell the teacher. I'll be fine. Ain heard Binz's voice and turned to look at Binz with a determined look in his eyes. Chapter 293 Zephyr. My disciples have been arrested. Garp, why haven't you come yet? She understands. After this moment, it was already difficult for her to return to Marine. At this moment, she could only say these words to reassure Binz and Zephyr. Damn it, Ain, come back. Binz wanted to stop Rosen and others. It's just that with his ability. Even if you want to stop it. It is also powerless. In the end, I could only watch as Rosen and others disappeared from sight. By the way, Teacher Zephyr. Teacher, wake up quickly. Binz came to Zephyr's side and shook Zephyr's arm vigorously. Teacher, Ain was taken away by Rosen. Please think of a solution quickly. What? Ain was taken away. Zephyr, who was still asleep, opened his eyes instantly. His eyes widened to their maximum size and he looked at Binz in surprise. No, that's right. Ain has been taken away by Rosen. Sorry, I can't stop them. Ain said she would be fine before she left. Teacher Zephyr, Rosen really won't let anything happen to Ain. He took Ain away just to use Ain as a hostage, right? Binz said nervously and apologetically. Damn it, that Rosen boy, ah. Zephyr was about to stand up. This is where the injuries occurred. He had to kneel on one leg on the ground. Damn it, how can that Rosen be so powerful? What did he want to do by taking Ain away? No, you have to ask Garp where that bastard is. Zephyr knew that he could not take down Rosen alone. What's more, Rosen has strong partners around him. Hey, Garp, where are you bastard? Why haven't you come here yet? My disciple was captured by Rosen. Captain Rosen, who is this? Kaya comes back after seeing Rosen and Tashigi. I was about to ask the two of them if they were injured. Suddenly seeing Rosen holding an Ain in his hand, he immediately asked curiously. On the deck, Karina, Nami, Yuta and others also looked over curiously and warily. Having a copy of the diary, they are wary of any beautiful woman who comes to the pirate group. After all, someone who can be brought back by Rosen. The odds of having a copy of the diary are too high too. Moreover, the place Rosen went to before was a marine warship. That is to say, there is a high probability that the person he brings back will be marine. This woman is Ain. Thought I might take out Zephyr. So I want to be a hostage or something. I thought about it and decided to take her with me for the time being. Rosen laughed. After hearing this, Karina, Nami and others' original vigilance towards Ain instantly dissipated. Instead, there was sympathy for Ain. Is this the Ain whose mentor was betrayed by marine and world government and killed? Nami, Karina and others sighed in their hearts. No one on Rosen's ship was stupid. In an instant, I understood the reason why Ain came here. Talk about being a hostage. I'm afraid Ain came here to gain the power to help Zephyr change the future. For this purpose, Ain may even be willing to leave marine like Tashigi. However, despite knowing this, Nami, Karina, Noki and other crew members did not completely relax their vigilance towards Ain. Who knows if Ain will want to return to marine after gaining power. There's no other celestial dragons here to make Ain as determined as Tashigi. Captain Rosen, why don't you let me take care of Miss Marine first? Quote. I can barely use the Ming Li Ma's order spell. I will confirm if there is any other purpose for her to come to us. Nochigeo, who possessed the Mirajan template, took the initiative to step forward and said to Rosen. Okay, then I'll leave her to you. Rosen nodded and agreed. Since Nuochigao can solve it, he was also able to save some energy to fuse with Nakigo and use Mirajan's power. Although Ain didn't want to be separated from Rosen like this. But she also understands. To stay on Rosen's team. It was impossible not to reassure Rosen's companions. Chapter 294 Ain wants to join the group, even if he is an enemy of Marine. At this moment, Ain even regretted coming late. If I had come to this ship earlier, I would have been able to prove myself by hurting the celestial dragons just like Tashigi. Ain sighed deeply in his heart. She understands. Without the celestial dragons to cut off her escape route. She wants Nami and others to trust her, which is much more difficult than Tashigi. But maybe I can become Rosen's woman first. As long as I can climb into Rosen's bed, maybe I can gain his trust in another way. Thinking of this, Ain looked at Rosen with an even firmer look. Kaya, give me a drink. I'm so tired right now. I urgently need your support. When Rosen saw Kaya next to him, he immediately fell, weakly, into Kaya's chest 723. In an instant, his whole head was buried in Kaya's arms. Well, it smells so good. Rosen said. Lo, Captain Rosen. Kaya's face turned red with embarrassment. But this time, she didn't even dare push Rosen away. In the end, she could only hold Rosen and sit down on a recliner nearby. While trembling, she felt Rosen's breath in front of her. While using chakra to replenish the physical energy consumed by Rosen and Rosen. Ain looked at this scene and felt a little envious unconsciously. If I can get Rosen to trust me like this, maybe I can gain strength. Ain thought. Okay, stop looking. Come over here with me, AGBH. We have some things we need to talk about alone. Nuochigao patted Ain on the shoulder and took the initiative to walk towards the cabin. On the side, Karina, Nami and Yuta, who was supporting Dasichi, also looked at Ain with bright eyes. Ain took a deep breath and walked into the cabin. Nochigeo did not hesitate and directly used Mirajan's template to use the command spell on Ain. Why did you come here? Because I want to save Teacher Zephyr. For this reason, you don't want to be a Marine anymore. That's right. If you could change the future of Zephyr, would you be willing to dedicate everything to Captain Rosen? I do. Even if you become the enemy of Marine and the world government. Marine and world government are not just themselves, and they do nothing wrong for me. I understand. If that's the case, just delete Marine's friends. The last sentence is that Nuochigao did not use the command spell. It's no longer necessary. Ain has made up his mind. Even without using command spells, Nochigao believed that Ain knew what to do. Ain nodded slightly and opened a copy of the diary in front of everyone. Find marine groups and marine friends. And deleted them one by one directly. Relevant information was instantly transmitted to the marine group. Sadi-chan, Ain has left the group. Has this woman run away with Rosen? Close black lens bracket. Skylark, Senior Ain, is this not a marine? Close black lens bracket. Dole, Skylark, don't assert. Close black lens bracket. Peacock, hey, I knew it. Close black lens bracket. Domino, after all, the future of Zephyr revealed by Rosen earlier is really sad. Close black lens bracket. Hina, Ain was once saved by Teacher Zephyr at the risk of her life. In order to change Teacher Zephyr's future, she is probably willing to do anything. Close black lens bracket. Dole, we already know this future, and we can obviously find ways to change it. Ain, you shouldn't have made such a decision. Close black lens bracket. Gion, anyway, this has happened. Next, we can only hope that Vice Admiral Garp can stop Rosen and others before they pass the upside-down mountain. 1. Dole, if so, maybe I can bring Ain back. Gion Vice Admiral Garp is approaching, close black lens bracket. Gion, well, it shouldn't take more than a few minutes. As long as Vice Admiral Garp can temporarily drag Rosen away for a while, I can get to the scene. Close black lens bracket. Domino, Rosen just fought Zephyr once, and his physical strength was somewhat exhausted. If Rosen can be found at this time, there may be a real chance to capture him. 1. Sadi-chan, it is indeed possible while Rosen has not won any rewards such as challenge cards yet. Close black lens bracket. Dole, I hope I can seize this opportunity. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 295 Ain, as long as I can stay, I can do anything. Is this okay? After Ain deleted all marine-related friend lists and groups, he raised his head and looked at Nuao and the others in front of him and asked. This is indeed enough. Karina crossed her arms and nodded seriously. We understand why you are here. But we have to remind you. Captain Rosen may not be willing to give you power. I hope you don't hate Captain Rosen by then. Otherwise, we won't let you go. Ain's eyes were firm. I won't let this happen. I will prove myself and prove that I am worthy of a certain template. Ain knew that all the girls in front of him had already obtained the template. Although in theory, one person does not only have one template to master. Just like Rosen, he has more than one strong template. But before Nami and others have fully grasped the power of a strong template, Rosen will most likely not give them other templates. In other words, as long as she can gain Rosen's trust and be regarded as a partner by Rosen, she will have a high probability of getting the template from Rosen. I hope your idea can come true. But now you are just a hostage. Wait until Captain Rosen really thinks you're a partner. That's why we will put down the surveillance on you. So, you need to be mentally prepared. Karina said seriously. Ain was a little embarrassed after hearing this. How can I consummate my marriage to Rosen while I'm being watched? Ain frowned. Miss Ain, don't be too anxious. The original future of Zephyr is still far away. You have plenty of time. It took me a long time to get to this point, didn't it? Tashigi spoke encouragingly. Indeed, I still have time. Ain smiled kindly at Tashigi and then looked at the others around him. Don't worry, everyone, I will be honest. If there's anything you need me to do, please leave it all to me. In order to win everyone's trust, Ain decided to start from scratch. We're not going to exploit you. After all, you might become one of us in the future. Anyway, let's go say hello to Captain Rosen first. To Rear Admiral tell him that you have no other purpose. Nuochigao paused, with a mysterious smile on his face. Speaking of which, if Captain Rosen used Mirajan's power through me before and you used the command spell, perhaps you will say something similar to Hina before to answer Captain Rosen. Karina nodded in agreement. It's a pity, I really want to see a scene like that again. Are you a devil? Ain twitched the corner of his mouth and looked at Karina who was speaking with shame. No, rather than a devil, it should be called a cunning fox. 0, please give me flowers. Ain muttered. Deck. Captain Rosen, could you settle down a little bit, like lie down? With you like this, it's hard for me to calm down and help you regain your physical fitness. Kaya looked at Rosen helplessly and said. Sorry, Kaya. I'm so tired. I really don't have the strength to move my body. Rosen said muffledly. You obviously have strength. Kaya pouted and said. She didn't believe that fighting Zephyr would completely exhaust Li Fan's energy. Even if Rosen does run out of energy. Now she has injected a lot of chakra into Rosen's body. Rosen should be able to move. He, Kaya's embrace is so delusional. I'm really nostalgic. Rosen raised his head slightly, looked at Kaya's cute face and said. Well, even if you say that, Kaya pouted and turned her head. It's so cute, Wei Ya. You really want people to appreciate it. Rosen looked at Kaya's cute face and couldn't help but said. Well, Kaya groaned and closed her eyes completely. He didn't dare to look at Rosen. He didn't dare to say another word to Rosen. What a pity, then just keep letting me lie down. Chapter 296 leading to Upside Down Mountain, Unexpected Impact. Rosen smiled, not teasing Kaya. He took the initiative to lift his head from Kaya's arms. Instead, he put the back of his head on Kaya's lap. Have to say, Kaya need pillow for Rosen. There is always a different kind of charm. It's really a harmonious scene. I wonder if I disturbed you. Karina's voice sounded not far away. Kaya opened her eyes and immediately saw Karina, Ain and others walking towards here. In an instant, Wei Ya's face turned even redder. Have you finished the 377 thing you asked about? Rosen enjoyed the soft touch on the back of his head. He asked while asking. Well, I've already asked. This Ain doesn't have any unusual thoughts. She did want to save Zephyr. Nochgeo brought Ain and stopped in front of Rosen. Captain Rosen, what are we going to do with this guy next? Does she need to be locked up? It's just like what she said. Put her on your bed and help you warm it. Nuo Chigao laughed. Ain was a little shy when he heard this. But he also looked at Rosen expectantly. Let's forget about that, since she insists on coming with her. Let her be a maid first. Be responsible for the health issues on the ship. Rosen said. What about hygiene issues? Isn't it your personal hygiene issue? Yuta raised the corner of her mouth and looked down at the middle of Rosen's legs. Yuta, don't lead this Ain into trouble. Rosen shook his head helplessly. How could he know? Talk about bringing bad luck. Rosen's works had already completely ruined Ain. As far as theoretical knowledge is concerned. Ain is already at the professor level. Ain blushed and looked down at Rosen's important point. Think of some scenes from comic books. He licked his lips unconsciously. If I offer to help him with his personal hygiene now, I don't know if he will agree. Ain thought. Suddenly, the pirate ship experienced a violent tremor. Everyone on the boat shook their bodies unconsciously. Ain may be because of his weak strength. He accidentally fell down. But she didn't fall to the deck. What a coincidence. She hit Rosen right in the stomach. Exactly. It's a little further down. Ain's eyes widened and he froze on the spot. Ahem, you should stand firmer. Rosen also touched the back of his head with some embarrassment, stood up and lifted Ain up. He wanted to take this opportunity to tease Ain. But this time so many people are watching. He thought it would be better for him to keep a low profile. Nami, what happened? Rosen turned around, looked at Nami and asked. Captain Rosen, we have begun to enter Upside Down Mountain. It's moving up the Upside Down Mountain via rotating currents. Nami replied. Ho ho, it's just the right time. Everyone, are you ready to go to your different world souls? Rosen also saw the Upside Down Mountain, which was still very close at hand, and said excitedly to everyone. Certainly. The crowd chanted. Very well, let's move forward, everyone. After Rosen finished speaking, he began to take the initiative to help control the pirate ship. Although he usually leaves the job of controlling the ship to others. But now this is a very historic moment. Rosen also wanted to get involved. Although Ain is still a hostage. But in order to fully integrate into Rosen's team. He also chose to work hard to help control the hull. Slowly, the pirate ship sailed upwards along the countercurrent of the sea water above the mountain. Nami, Nakigo 4.0, Kaya and others who had never experienced Upside Down Mountain all cheered loudly. What an unimaginable experience. Rosen, thank you for giving me to Tianshu when I came from Sarab. Kaya, who happened to be next to Rosen, thanked Rosen with a smile on her face. I'm also grateful to you for being my doctor. Rosen put his hand on Kaya's shoulder, opened the diary system again and started recording the scene in real time. Such a historic scene. Instead of just writing it down. Rosen even hoped there would be video recordings. Chapter 297 Garp Attacks. Welcome with bullets condensed with, and quad, unlimited sword, and quad. Video, real-time recording, crossing Upside Down Mountain. About to enter the Grand Line. Closing square bracket. What kind of adventures are waiting for me in that place known as the Devil's Continent? Closing square bracket. Makino, Rosen, are you entering the Grand Line already? Waidabe, damn it, am I still not able to catch up with him? Gion, could it be that it's too late? Vivi, great, Rosen is coming. We must find him, for Alabasta, and for father. Nico Robin, come on, I'm looking forward to you taking me to find the historical monument. Charlotte Smoothie, no matter what, the distance between Rosen and us is now closer. Khalifa, Grand Line, I don't know if I will meet this man. What should I do after meeting? Dole, wait, what is that thing approaching so fast? Gion, that's Vice Admiral Garp. Rosen frowned and turned around suddenly to look behind him. Captain Rosen, what's wrong? Kaya asked confused. Trouble is coming. Kaya, stay back. A flash of light flashed across Rosen's eyes, and a strong and dazzling blue-white light suddenly erupted from his body. There was a sudden phenomenon, and Nami, Karina and others who were controlling the ship also looked over. The light fades. Rosen, dressed in black skin and holding two guns, appeared in front of everyone. Emma Yashuru later mode. The girls were shocked. This is the strongest stance of Emma Yashuru that Rosen can currently use. Being able to make Rosen suddenly look like this. Without Rosen's explanation, the women knew that there must be a powerful enemy coming. I am the bone of the sword I hold. Rosen raised his gun and pointed it at the figure approaching at high speed diagonally below. Rosen, you guy actually captured Fa's beloved disciple. And he lied to me about forming a music team. See if I don't give you a good lesson. A loud voice came over. Oops, it's Vice Admiral Garp. Ain's face tightened and he said in a panic. Although Garp is here to save her. But she doesn't want to leave Rosen's place now. Karina and others became serious when they found out it was Ain. Especially Yuta and Karina who understand Garp's power. No one had time to think about how to respond. Garp's figure has arrived where everyone can see it. Black lightning was shining on his strong fist. That is the light condensed by pure armament hockey. Rosen poured all the magic power in his body into the magic gun in his hand. But Rosen knew that wasn't enough. After being consumed by Zephyr. It's just a simple noble phantasm, and it won't have the power to stop Garp. Fortunately, he is in Shuru Emiya's alter mode. It can also transform the marrow fluid in the body and brain into power. Rosen's eyes widened and he began to mobilize all the marrow fluid in his body. Golden light suddenly erupted from his body. The clothes on his body were torn, and his flesh was torn apart. The golden energy automatically sewed its flesh together. So it's as I asked for. The energy of the marrow fluid is continuously injected into the magic gun in his hand. The energy contained in it made Garp, who was getting closer, feel a hint of danger. Suddenly, Rosen opened his eyes and looked at Garp calmly. Open black lens bracket unlimited sword system close black lens bracket. Pull the trigger. The bullets that compressed the entire, infinite sword system, were fired out 737 times at a rapid rate. In a blink of an eye, he was in front of Garp. It's like it should be right here. Garp's eyes widened. Hockey's fist, which had already gathered a large amount of energy, quickly dropped towards the bullet in front of him. Boom. There was a loud thunder. Huge energy spread out from Garp. Followed by countless swords, huge gears spread out in all directions. The originally clear sky disappeared instantly. Instead, there is only a cruel world of black and red. The black and red color is as if the whole world has been penetrated by blood. Are you kidding me? Garp never thought that a bomb would be released with one punch. Moreover, countless sword bombs were planted. Suddenly, he himself was led in the opposite direction from Rosen by the countless swords. Soon he disappeared at the end of the infinite sword world. Chapter 298 Garp was repulsed, Gion collapsed. Rosen glanced at the direction Garp disappeared, and then put down the gun in his hand. With a bright blue light, Rosen returned to his original appearance. I have to rest for a while, but. Anyway, please. Rosen said something to Kaya and slowly closed his eyes. Rosen. Kaya hugged Rosen with both hands and shouted anxiously. However, by this time, Rosen had fallen into a deep sleep. Because Rosen fell asleep, the video that was originally being recorded also ended. Everyone, keep going. Get into the Grand Line as quickly as possible. Kaya, please take care of Rosen. Karina came back to her senses, shouted loudly, and then transformed directly and started to accelerate the pirate ship with the power brought by the Yao Shenzi template. Nami, Nochigao and others came to their senses and joined Karina one after another. For a moment, the pirate ship began to sail at a terrifying speed. In less than a while, the pirate ship had crossed the mountain and entered the Grand Line waters. This is not over yet. Nami and others even used their own power to directly control the pirate ship to move forward from the air. In a short period of time, an extremely long distance has been covered. All the girls understand. Rosen can't use much strength right now. Now they are the only ones who can control the ship. The unknown presence of Marine who came to stop them. They can only choose to stay as far away from the current sea area as possible. Kaya, on the other hand, immediately ran towards the cabin with Rosen. At the same time, the other side, the women holding copies of the diary tightened their attention when they saw the ending video. The girls were either worried or nervous. Charlotte Garrett, the video screen is gone. Damn it, what's the situation over there now? Run-T, isn't Rosen caught by Garp? Yamato, absolutely impossible. This guy is a man I recognize. There is absolutely no way he would be caught in East Blue. Black Maria, Marine worked really hard to prevent Rosen from entering the Grand Line. He sent Zephyr and Garp to stop Rosen one after another. Stussy, it's just that Marine would never have thought that Rosen had such power. No, even those of us who hold copies of the diary can't imagine such power. Kazuki Hiyori, what Rosen used in the end was Emiya Shuru's Alter Infinite Sword System. One bullet actually contained a whole world. Charlotte Smoothie, a world is erupting in front of us, and even Marine hero Garp will definitely not feel comfortable. It would be great if the old guy died here. Makino, Mr. Garp, no, nothing will happen. Widub, with Garp's power, he won't die like this. However, he should feel uncomfortable. Vivi, is that Rosen's pirate ship that just flew away from the sky? No, they are leaving, I have to catch up. Michita, hey, how can we catch up at such a fast speed? Zala, It's a little troublesome. I didn't expect to encounter such a variable in the middle. Quote. Nico Robin, it seems that we have to rely on the informants of Baroque works to determine the location of Rosen and others. The other side. Guillaume closes the diary copy. He raised his hand and picked up the phone and dialed Garp's phone number. Please, answer it, Garp. Guillaume muttered. It was as if the gods heard Guillaume's prayer. Soon, Garp's voice came from the other side of the phone. Is it Guillaume? This is Garp. Garp, how's the situation over there, Joutiz? Have you caught Rosen? Why do you ask? Did you guess that I met Rosen? Stop talking about this, just say you didn't catch Rosen. This, let them run away, ha ha ha. Run away. Why is this happening? Can you still laugh? Guillaume yelled at the phone bug angrily. Near Upside Down Mountain. Garp was soaked in the sea water with blood all over his body. There were many wounds on his body. Especially his left leg. There was an extremely exaggerated penetrating wound. Chapter 299 Garp. Rosen, this guy, screwed me over. Garp scratched his cheek. He said somewhat helplessly. I didn't expect that Rosen had such abilities. A small bullet exploded the whole world. If I hadn't reacted in time, I would have been seriously injured. Even so, I was really hurt by that guy Rosen. The wound on my leg pierced by a sword has made it impossible for me to catch up with them using my feet. When Guillaume heard this, he fell silent. She had seen the scene where the infinite sword system exploded from a bullet just now. With such power, Guillaume knew that he could never stop it. This is the ultimate attack that focuses the world at one point. If you are not a person with amazing defense power, once you are hit, you will probably die on the spot. Garp was suddenly faced with such a trick, and he had already dealt with it very well. Be someone else. Even the Marine Admiral would probably be quite annoyed. Guillaume, you don't have to worry too much. Rosen even went to the first half of the Grand Line. It doesn't mean we won't pursue him. And in the first half of the Grand Line, we have more Marines. Although this place is a little bigger, maybe we can still find him faster. As for Aine, I think with Rosen's character, he won't take action against her. Maybe when he feels safe, he will let Aine go. Garp said to the phone bug while holding his nose and waiting for the arrival of Zephyr's marine warship. The last time they met, he felt that Rosen didn't seem like the kind of person who would do anything evil. This is one of the reasons why he is willing to let them go even though he knows that Yuta is the red-haired daughter. Moreover, Rosen once captured Hina and Tashigi, but also let them go. Therefore, Garp feels that Rosen can let Aine go just like he let Hina go. As for the fact that Tashigi is now Rosen's partner. That's Celestial Dragon's fault. Garp doesn't think there will be another Celestial Dragons that will break Ion's marine faith. Vice Admiral Garp, you don't understand. Guillaume let out a long sigh. Something about the diary system Rosen has. There was no way she could explain it to Garp. In the end, Guillaume had no choice but to hang up the phone. Really, I always feel like Guillaume has been talking a lot lately. This is not the last time I was defeated by Rosen. So it's a bit exciting, right? Garp shook his head and said. Looking at the marine warship getting closer and closer ahead. Garp waved his hands and swam towards him. Garp, how did you do this? Where's Aine? How is Aine? Zephyr personally fished Garp out of the sea. Looking at Garp, he was naked and covered in injuries. Zephyr was shocked. You know, Garp is even more powerful than him. The results of it. Zephyr's own injuries were not as severe as Garp's. Moreover, Rosen must be in a state of being consumed now. It's impossible. The battle between Zephyr and Rosen did not consume Rosen much. I'm sorry Zephyr, Aine can't be rescued yet. But you don't have to worry. Although I couldn't see it very clearly just now. But I think Aine seems to get along well with the female crew members on Rosen's ship. She's staying on Rosen's boat, so her safety shouldn't be a problem. Garp said. That's it. Zephyr frowned and took another look at Garp's current situation. Garp, are you really okay? The injuries on your body don't matter, right? Garp shook his head. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. Meet the future with observation hockey. It allowed me to avoid crucial attacks. Most of the wounds on my body are relatively shallow and harmless. That guy Rosen is really good. I saw that he didn't have a sword, so I didn't think he would be able to use the same moves he used against Hawkeye or Golden Lion. Who would have thought that this guy would actually integrate that infinite sword system into a bullet? That move really hurt me. Chapter 300 After the war, the affectionate Kaya. Zephyr listened to Garp's complaints. I also felt serious in my heart. Of course he knew how powerful the world with infinite swords was. Even Mahawk, the world's best swordsman, fell prey to this move. If all the swords inside were compressed into one bullet. When this bullet explodes, the power contained in it cannot be underestimated. This guy Rosen's abilities are too weird. No matter what, please report this matter to Sengoku first. We weren't able to stop him on the East Blue. And since you were beaten like this, a reward will be issued after all. Zephyr sighed and took out the phone bug in his arms. What? Rosen didn't catch it. And Garp was injured. What the hell is going on over there, Zephyr? Sengoku's surprised voice echoed in the marshal's office for a long time. Meanwhile, on the other side. Kaya, is Captain Rosen okay? As soon as the pirate ship hit the sea, Yuta came to the infirmary, looked at Rosen who was soaking in the medicine bath, and asked with concern. Behind her are Nami, Nakigao, Tashigi and others. Even Ain came here. Except for Karina who took the initiative to stay on the observation deck for early warning activities. Everyone in the pirate group was crowded into the small medical room. Captain Rosen's physical condition is not as healthy as usual. But the breathing is very even. So I guess it should be fine. Kaya said so. But there was still deep worry in my heart. Damn that Garp. Don't let me meet him, if I meet him again. I must make him look good. Yuta clenched his fists and said displeased. Although Garp is Luffy's grandfather. But this does not prevent Yuta from wanting to teach Luffy's grandfather a lesson. It's all our fault for being too weak. If only we could all be stronger. Even if we can prevent Captain Rosen from taking action when we fight Zephyr for the first time. Captain Rosen will not pass out from the battle with Garp. Tashigi sighed and said, as Rosen's woman, she is also one of the people most worried about Rosen's condition. Ain pursed his lips, not daring to speak. After all, she was working with Zephyr. The people who came to East Blue to stop Rosen. Don't worry too much, everyone. Didn't Kaya say that Rosen would be fine? And don't forget it. What Kaya has mastered is Tsunade's template. With Tsunade's skills, Rosen will definitely be able to get through easily. Nuochigao said. Nochigao is right. Leave this to Kaya. There's not much we can do here to help. It may even affect Kaya's treatment. Nami said. Everyone, don't worry. I will never let anything happen to Captain Rosen. Please also go to the deck to alert us first. If there is any situation, we can deal with it time. Kaya said. Kaya, who is a doctor, said so. No matter how worried Yuta, Tashigi and others are. I can only listen to Kaya's words. Less than a moment. Rosen and Kaya were the only two people left in the medical room. Kaya took a deep breath, raised her hands and put them on Rosen's back. The healing chakra was continuously injected into Rosen's body, and combined with the medicine in the medicinal bath barrel, Rosen was treated. However, wait until Kaya uses up all the chakra. Rosen also showed no intention of waking up. This made Kaya panic. Rosen, please, wake up quickly. As long as you wake up, I will agree to your previous request. Kaya pursed her lips and said to Rosen sincerely. This time, Weiya didn't blush. There is only sincerity in his eyes. She took a deep breath, stood up, and slowly removed all her defenses. Just like that, he stepped into Rosen's medicinal bathtub. He opened his arms and hugged Rosen's waist. The potion also acts on Kaya's body, replenishing the chakra she needs. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.